What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty. Join my Discord if you want to chat and share your thoughts, the link is in the description. 5TW Chapter 116 New Secret Mission. After resting for a few days in Riester, he was called by Sengoku. Zephyr was very happy about Riester's departure. In the past few days, he was completely annoyed by Riester. I wonder if Riester suddenly why did you smoke, and wanted to find him a wife. Zephyr didn't dare to go home and live there these days. Tenton lived in Marine Academy, but when he saw Zephyr who was not in the oil and salt, Riester felt very helpless. He felt that he often had to go out on missions and there was no way he could do it. I have been with Zephyr for a long time, and I was afraid that Zephyr would be lonely, so I wanted to find him a wife. I didn't expect Zephyr's temper to be so stubborn, like a donkey. I really don't listen to good people. Marshal Sengoku, are you looking for me? Riester walked into the marshal's office and saw the files piled up on the table mountain. Riester felt a headache for Sengoku. Fortunately, he was not the marshal. Otherwise, his head would easily explode if he handled the files. Well, there is a task here that needs to be entrusted to you to complete. What task? Hearing Riester's question, Sengoku's face showed a trace of embarrassment, and Riester's heart suddenly had a bad premonition. You need to find something on the ocean. Find something? On this sea? Rist's tone has risen a little bit. Although he still doesn't know what he needs to find, this task is too unreliable. You know, he is a marine with admiral strength. He will not kill the pirates. Let him find something unexpectedly. Marshal Sengoku, aren't you kidding me? Are you looking for something on this sea? Do you have any hints? No, Sengoku also said embarrassingly. He also felt that this task was not very reliable, but there was no way. This was the above order, and he did not dare to violate it. Is that the same as finding a needle in a haystack? I guess I can't find it if I find it dead. Although Rist did not know what he was looking for, he would definitely not be able to find it so easily. If you can find him, I will grant you a 1-year holiday. Don't worry, Marshal Sengoku, give me the task with peace of mind. I will definitely complete the task. Hearing about the 1-year holiday, Riester's attitude immediately changed. He was worried that he had no time to spend more time with Makino. Now that he saw the 1-year holiday just before his eyes, he naturally couldn't give up. Then Marshal Sengoku, what do I need to find? A devil fruit of paramecia, op fruit, this is the picture book of that devil fruit. Advertisement. After speaking, Sengoku handed a piece of paper to Rist. Rist took off the blindfold and saw a red, heart-shaped fruit printed on it. Op fruit, is there a devil fruit in the legend that can give humans eternal life? Unold operation. Rist's tone at this time also became a little serious. You know? This time it's Sengoku's turn to be surprised. Only a small number of people know that op fruit can perform age-old surgery. I have heard some legends about op fruit, but looking at your tone of Marshal Sengoku, it shows that this legend is not wrong. Yes, it's the devil fruit that can perform age-old surgery. Then you called the 3rd Admiral because of this, right? After all, it is devil fruit that can perform ageless operations. You must know that the world government's reward for op fruit is more than 5 billion Baileys. This shows how important op fruit is to the world government. Yes. Then this should belong to the 3 admirals' tasks, now it is in my hands? Yes. Is it because I appeared at the time and disrupted your meeting, so this task was handed over to me? To be honest, this task is also quite good, it can be said to be a public travel. No, this is Kizaru's proposal. Kizaru? Rist didn't know whether he should thank Kizaru or scold Kizaru, and gave him such a troublesome task. Although this task takes time, it is a very easy task, which is more difficult, there is no 100% chance of completion. How about it? Can you accept this task? If you really don't want to accept it, I can go for another person. No, Marshal, I accept this task. Okay, I didn't misunderstand you. Sengoku stood up and patted Rist on the shoulder, feeling very relieved in his heart. But you have to speed up. People from all major forces in the world are looking for this devil fruit. Even if this devil fruit is destroyed by that time, it will never be available to people from other forces. Advertisement. Yes, I understand, Marshal. But Marshal, is there no hint? Could it be true that I was looking for that devil fruit in the vast ocean? Well, but no, it depends on your own intelligence network. All right, the Marshal, I will leave first. Well, good luck. If you can help the world government complete this task, you are likely to be promoted to 4th place Admiral by an exception. Afterwards, the other party hung up the phone very neatly. It may be that the killer's habit has not been changed. Even though Mistgang was a little curious in his heart, he still did not ask. Let's do it. Okay, I get it. Finding the devil fruit didn't happen overnight, so Rist wasn't in a hurry now. I remember that Doflamingo's younger brother seems to be Sengoku's godson. He took out the phone worm in his arms and called. Mistridge, I need you to go to North Blue first to investigate the trace of op fruit. After speaking, Rist left Sengoku's office directly. I hope this kid can surprise me, or it doesn't need to be so troublesome at all. Only Riester stays in North Blue. When op fruit appears, Doflamingo's brother will naturally report to Sengoku, and Sengoku will definitely notify him at that time, and then he will sit back. The benefit was gained. After leaving Sengoku's office, Riester began to recall the place where op fruit appeared in the original book. Although he did not explain where it appeared, Riester knew an approximate location, which was in North Blue. Sengoku leaned back in his chair and muttered to himself. However, in order to change things, he must be prepared with both hands. Are there tasks to be handed to me? Now Riester feels that the vacation for this mission is for nothing. He can only find Doflamingo in North Blue, and then his brother, and finally only one to follow him. Thank you for reading this story at fictionzone.net. Your support enables us to keep the site running. And it is in the hands of the Don Quixote family. Next, I should set off. Chapter 117 Lesson Smoker. Since this was a secret mission, Rist could not lead his own warship to set off, only able to pick up other people's warships. After returning to Marine Academy, he said goodbye to Zephyr. Master, I have a new mission. Rist said to Zephyr that Zephyr was on the training ground, and Rist also saw the white-haired bad boy, Smoker, among the trainees. He was the oldest. What task? Sorry, Master, this is a secret mission. You can't reveal it casually, you know, Marine's rules. Well, how long will it take you to complete this task? It's hard to tell. This task is still a little troublesome. If you're lucky, it may be completed in a month. If you are not lucky, it may take a year or two. Well, then you will be careful all the way. Zephyr warned with a serious face. Don't worry, Master, with my strength, no one can keep me. Among these students, Zephyr and Riester also began to discuss. Who is that guy? Smoker asked the person next to him arrogantly, because it is Logia Devil Fruit, the strongest among the current Marine elite students, so he is also a bit arrogant capital. Don't you know? He is a direct disciple of Teacher Zephyr. He graduated from Marine Academy in less than a year. After all, he has served as an instructor in the elite class for 4 consecutive years, and his current rank is Marine Rear Admiral. The student who was questioned by Smoker said with a look of admiration. I think he seems to be younger than me, right? Yes, Riester instructor is less than 18 years old. Less than 18 years old? Hearing this, Smoker clenched his fists directly. He was already Marine Rear Admiral before the age of 18, and he was still a student now. Does that mean that if I defeat him, First can become Marine Rear Admiral? Advertisement. A crazy idea suddenly appeared in Smoker's heart. Hey, Smoker, don't be impulsive, you are definitely not an opponent of Riester instructor. After the students next to him heard Smoker's words, they immediately organized. How can you know if you don't try it? There was a wicked smile on Smoker's face. Logia Devil Fruit not only gave him a strong strength, but also made his self-confidence unprecedentedly swelled. Just as Rist was about to leave, a voice suddenly stopped him. Hey, I heard you are Naval Headquarters Rear Admiral? Hearing this sound, Rist stopped and turned around, and saw the arrogant Smoker arrogantly said. Afterwards, Rist looked at Zephyr again, and saw Zephyr show a casual look on you. Zephyr also thought in his heart that he should really teach Smoker some lessons, but he bullied Smoker at his age, and Smoker was very dissatisfied in his heart, so you must need someone the same age as or younger than Smoker to suppress Smoker. Self-confidence. But among Marine students, even among those who have graduated, almost no one of the same age as Smoker's opponent. After all, armament hockey is not that easy to be a master. So, what are you going to do? Riester asked. He probably already knew what Smoker thought. I want to challenge you. If I beat you, I need you to give me the position of your Marine Rear Admiral. With 2 cigars in his mouth, Smoker has no fear in his eyes. It seems that he has not experienced the friction of reality. Marine Rear Admiral's position is not so easy to get. He needs to accumulate certain military merits, but if you can defeat me, I will apply to the Marshal and make an exception to promote you to Marine Rear Admiral. Really? Smoker originally thought that even if he defeated Riester, he could not become Rear Admiral, but Riester's words directly flashed a trace of desire in Smoker's eyes. After all, which soldier does not want to be a general? Really? Okay, you can do it first, and I won't bully you, a blind person. Hearing Smoker's words, Zephyr whispered inwardly that Rist hated others to call him blind or blind. Advertisement. It's better for you to shoot first, or I'm afraid you won't even have a chance to shoot for a while. Riester smiled and said without a smile, at first, he just wanted to teach Smoker a little bit, but the words just made Rist change his inner thoughts. He wanted to teach Smoker a deep lesson. After finishing speaking, a terrifying aura burst out of Riester's body and pressed towards Smoker. This aura is not Conqueror's Hockey, but a simple murderous aura. Riester is not like Zephyr, a soft-hearted lord. Few of the pirates he played against could survive. Rist, you. Zephyr felt this terrifying murderous aura, and his heart was also very surprised. He knew that Riester had already embarked on a road completely opposite to him. And Smoker was in a cold sweat under this murderous intent. Why, don't you even dare to move? If there is only this, you should be a student honestly, the battlefield is not for you. Damn it. Hearing Riester's mocking words, Smoker's heart was filled with anger. This was the anger at his own strength and the anger at his own courage. He was actually frightened by the momentum, which made him I can't bear things I can't bear. You fellow, I must beat you. After speaking, Smoker's lower body turned into smoke, and he flew directly towards Riester, at an extremely fast speed, and the angry face was getting closer and closer to Riester. He raised his fist and planned to punch Rist in the face. Regarding this, Riester stood still and didn't move. With his current strength, even if he stubbornly hit Smoker with a punch, he couldn't do it because it would be too embarrassing. Under the perception of Riester observation hockey, Riester knew exactly what Smoker would do next. Riester's head deflected slightly, and he avoided Smoker's fist, and Riester's fist had fallen on Smoker's abdomen. But Smoker still has a confident expression. He is Logia demon fruit power. He is not afraid. Go down, Smoker. The carrier armament hockey's punch directly knocked the Smoker out, knocking the farthest wall out of a cobweb-like shape, and then his body fell directly from the wall and fell to the ground and never got up again. All the students were stunned by this scene. Sorry, Master, the shot is a bit heavy. It's okay, you should teach Smoker a lesson like this. I guess Smoker can sail down and train in the future. Chapter 118 Going to North Blue. Although there was Smoker's carelessness in it, it was also because of the big difference in the strength of the two people. Even if Smoker was not careless, he couldn't hold on to a move in Riester's hands. Is this the Riester instructor? Those students who had just watched the game all whispered. Riester's previous blow really shocked them too much. That Smoker, of course, his demon fruit power, even in Riester's hands, did not persist. Afterwards, Rist left here, and he taught that Smoker was also instructed by Zephyr, otherwise Zephyr could not let Smoker provoke him so recklessly. When Smoker woke up, List had already left here. Where's List, Rear Admiral? After Smoker woke up, he asked the staff in the infirmary. At this time, his name for List had also changed, and he couldn't help but hear some respect in his tone. Riester instructor has left long ago. The nurse said plainly that the people in Marine Academy preferred to call List instructor than Rear Admiral. That guy is really strong. Riester's figure emerged in Smoker's mind, and there was a target he needed to chase on his way forward, and this would make his strength grow faster. After leaving the Marine Academy, Riester went directly to the port of naval headquarters, where he happened to meet Kizaru, who was about to sail, and then walked directly in front of Kizaru. Kizaru Admiral, thank you this time, and Kizaru, who heard Riester's words, understood what was going on in an instant. After all, are you still our junior? Just leave this simple task to you, and treat it as a relaxation for you. Kizaru said shamelessly, and didn't feel regret at handing this task to Rist, even if he was caught by the boss now. Thank you Kizaru Admiral, I will cherish the time for this mission. Although Rist did not dislike this mission much, but when he heard Kizaru's indifferent tone, he didn't know why, and he wanted to slap Kizaru's face twice. It was really annoying, although he couldn't see the expression on Kizaru's face. If there is nothing to do, I will leave first, List Rear Admiral. After all, I still have tasks to complete. Then I don't know where Kizaru Admiral is going to complete the task. It's nothing, just cruise on the ocean. If you encounter a pirate, just clean up by the way. Advertisement. When Kizaru said this, Riester suddenly felt that Kizaru's task was much easier than his own, and it was more suitable for salted fish. BWGB. Rist now understands why a lazy person like Kizaru would refuse such an easy task. It turns out that there is a better task. Rist found that Kizaru and the two Admiral are completely opposite. Akainu has a hot temper and is more aggressive in doing things, so Lava Fruit is a good match for him. I don't know if Lava Fruit influenced him like this. Yes, he is what he is. And Aokiji is also similar to Akainu. He doesn't compete or fight for his personality, and he is more stable in his work, so it is a frozen fruit that matches him. However, Kizaru did not inherit the characteristics of Devil Fruit at all. He was obviously the fastest Devil Fruit, but he was the laziest one. He was able to be lazy and would never take the initiative to take the initiative. It's a pity. I thought Kizaru Admiral was going to North Blue, so that it would be able to give me a ride. In this case, I can only look for other warships. Riester Rear Admiral is going to North Blue? Could it be that he got any definite news? Kizaru asked curiously, how else did Lister set the goal at North Blue in the first place? No, but North Blue has more underground forces, so I think there should be some clues there. It turns out that this is the case, then good luck to List Rear Admiral. After speaking, Kizaru's warship left. After inquiring about several warships, Riester finally found a warship that was about to serve in a certain branch of North Blue. Riester successfully got on a downwind boat. Regarding Riester's arrival, Marine on this warship raised his hands and feet in favor. Not only because of Lister's reputation in Marine, but also because of Lister's terrifying strength, enough to ensure their safety along the way. Even if they encounter some big pirates, they are not afraid now. Is it okay to hand over this task to Lister? Watching Sengoku as Rist was leaving on the warship, a rough voice suddenly came from his ear, and the voice was still a bit vague, as if there was something in his mouth. This person is Garp, the only person who dared to eat in addition to tea in Sengoku's office. It's okay, originally this was an impossible task. To be honest, Sengoku did not have any expectations for this task. The world government has been looking for op fruit for so many years, and still has no clue. He doesn't think that Riester will be able to give that devil fruit turn up. This time the mission is supposed to be a vacation for him, but if it can be found, it would be a surprise. Advertisement, Sengoku, since it's a holiday, why don't you assign this task to me? When he heard that it was a holiday, Garp stared and said, this task is for you, huh, I guess you will stay in your hometown and not bring it out. Personality, this is what you were talking about. Garp didn't seem to see Sengoku's ugly face, and he still looked like he was laughing. While speaking, Garp's hand quickly walked a pack of senbei from Sengoku's drawer. No, they are not strong enough. Only you can hold down the old guys in New World. You are ruthless, you are ruthless. The blue veins on Sengoku's forehead were violent, and he even dared to steal from his present, and even dared to talk about his character. Of course, this is all Garp's performance. Aren't there Aokiji and Akainu? Garp pointed his finger at Sengoku and said with an incredulous expression on his face. The meaning on his face, Sengoku, did not expect you to be such a person. Go away, I now order you to station in New World. Since Rist came back, there has been some turmoil there. I need you to suppress it again. Yes, Lousy has avenged his personal revenge. You should go to Lousy as soon as possible, otherwise all your vacations will be gone. Ha ha ha, Sengoku, we both grew up wearing a pair of trousers, isn't yours my own? Cut. Sengoku, you fellow, you don't believe in the character of the old man. After speaking, Garp turned and left, but he felt that his heart was a little unbalanced, so he directly used the shave to put Sengoku's desk on top of his head and moved it away. All the senbei in it belonged to him. Garp. You be asterisk 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 d. Sengoku, your public revenge. Thank you for reading this story at fictionzone.net. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Sengoku's roar was heard by almost the entire naval headquarters. Chapter 119. Arriving at Cornish Island. After a few days of sailing, Riester finally reached North Blue. On this road, Riester also smoothly eliminated a lot of pirates. After all, is he hitting other people's warships and contributing to them? It should be divided into strength. Almost no gang warfare occurred. As long as you see the pirate ship from a distance, Rist will decide the punishment method of these pirate groups according to the mood at the time. It may be the slash of the great swordsman who can cut the sea. Slash wave, it may also be a fistbone meteorite facing the violent bombardment of artillery shells. This also impressed everyone on the warship for Riester. In Marine, there are many people who have heard of the name of Riester, but few have seen Riester take action. After all, Riester came to them, it's too mysterious. Almost never spent time in naval headquarters, either on mission or on the way to mission. Even if occasionally staying at naval headquarters, he was only at Marine Academy to help teacher Zephyr train elite class students. Among the pirates, there is also a term for Riester, the demon marine. The meaning of this demon is for the pirates. To the pirates, Riester is not a demon. The title of the devil comes from the following reasons. First, when it was stationed in Sabodi Archipelago, the pirates around Sabodi Archipelago can be said to have disappeared. Second, as long as you meet Riester on the sea, you never know whether you will be killed by the sword gas or by a shell in the next second. The third is Riester's terrifying strength. On the sea, there has never been news about Riester's defeat. Of course, in Kaido's case, the world government tried to hide it, and Riester was still young. So even if someone knew that Riester had lost to Kaido, they would not care about it now. After all, Riester's strength and reputation are now obvious to all. Riester Rear Admiral, we have reached North Blue ahead. That island is the closest island in North Blue to Upside Down Mountain, Cornish Island. The supreme officer of this warship said to Riester, although he is the supreme officer of this warship, his rank is nothing more than a colonel. His purpose of coming to North Blue is to come to the branch here and serve as base commander. A colonel from naval headquarters is more than enough to serve as the head of North Blue. If nothing else, he might not leave North Blue for the rest of his life. His talents have been exhausted, and his strength has come to an end. It is almost impossible to have any further possibilities. Well, let's separate when we get there. I don't know where Riester Rear Admiral wants to go. My warship can send Riester Rear Admiral a ride. No, this is a secret mission. I can't let too many people know. Okay, then I understand. Thanks to Riester Rear Admiral for his help along the way. Otherwise, it is not certain whether I can come here safely by myself. Advertisement, bye. Rist didn't want to talk to him anymore, so he directly shaved off the warship and came to the town. The marine clothes on his body had already faded away and turned into normal clothes. Although the temperament on his body is still so eye-catching, the smile at the corner of his mouth adds a touch of charm to his face for no reason, attracting the eyes of many young girls. This North Blue really deserves to be the most powerful piece of sea in the four seas. While walking on the road, Riester's observation hockey has covered the entire island. In an instant, I felt a few more powerful auras on this island. These auras may not be regarded as much in New World, but they can also be said to be outstanding in Grand Line. If they are put on the bounty, at least it is a reward of over 100 million. But these people were still rookies in Riester's eyes, and he didn't even notice that he was discovered. North Blue has a mafia, a powerful family, a killer organization, and a guild of bounty hunters. Almost all the forces on the surface and in the dark, North Blue has gathered, which is much stronger than East Blue, NS. It's good for East Blue to meet some stronger pirate groups. Blue Blue Blue. At this time, the phone worm in Riester's arms rang, and seeing the blue hair on the top of the phone worm's head, Riester knew who had called him. I'm already at North Blue, where have you been? As soon as the phone worm was connected, a cold voice came from the other side. I've just arrived in North Blue, and I've just arrived in North Blue, right on Cornish Island. Well, wait for me, I'll be there soon. After speaking, the other party quickly hung up the call worm, which made Rist feel, who is the superior and who is the inferior in the end. If he dares to say this to Sengoku, he will inevitably be scolded when he goes back. Of course it is not Sengoku scolding him, but Zephyr scolding him. After all, Sengoku will file a lawsuit. Rist found a tavern casually and sat down, waiting silently for Mr. Hill, and the tavern can be said to be the only place where you can hear all kinds of news without spending money. The guest officer, what do you need? Advertisement. A cup of hot milk, thank you. It's not that Riester doesn't know how to drink, but that he doesn't like to drink alone, and none of these people present are qualified to drink with him. Hearing this, the waiter in the bar was taken aback, but he still said something with a small opening on his face. Okay, guest officer, please wait a moment, it will be done soon. Ha ha ha, kid, did you come to the pub to drink milk? You are really going to laugh Lousy to death. One of them heard Riester's words, walked to the side of Riester, laughed loudly, and his words naturally caused other people in the tavern to burst into laughter, while the bartender watched all this silently. After all, such images of mocking each other are too common in this place. Even if Lousy bought you this glass of wine, give it to Lousy. After speaking, he put a glass of wine violently in front of Riester. What if I don't drink it? Rist's tone was very flat, as if he hadn't heard the ridicule of the people around him at all. If you don't drink, then you just look down on me. Why should I value you? Who are you? As Riester's voice fell, the tavern fell silent in an instant. Who am I? Lousy is a big pirate with a bounty of 79 million lumen. Just listen to the big man proudly saying that the 79 million bounty is enough to give him the proud capital of North Blue. It turned out to be a pirate, so it would be easier to handle. Riester smiled. Chapter 120 Special Fetish Riester and Mistgang. What do you mean? Hearing what Riester said, a bad feeling suddenly surged in his heart. You don't need to know, and there is no need to know. After finishing speaking, I saw that a golden light appeared on Riester's finger, which directly shot out, penetrated the other's head, his eyes were wide, and he didn't seem to know how he died. The silence at the scene continued. When the pirate fell completely, the people in the tavern panicked, ran out of the door in a panic, and crawled around, looking very embarrassed. There is only one boss left in the store. It's not that he doesn't want to run, but that this store belongs to him, and he has nowhere to run. Boss, he should be enough to buy everyone's consumption, right? Enough is enough. The boss nodded quickly and said, and then quickly brought a cup of hot milk to Riester's face, and then stood silently aside, waiting for Riester's next order at any time. At this time, he didn't seem to be the owner of this bar, but rather a servant of Riester. Under the watch of the tavern keeper, the milk in the Riester glass slowly drank. Just as the boss breathed a sigh of relief and felt that Riester was about to leave, Riester's words once again plunged him into the abyss. Boss, have another drink. Yes, yes, this lord. The boss hurriedly removed the empty cup in front of Riester and used a new quilt to get Riester a cup of hot milk. It's finally here. I have already drunk 10 cups of milk, and I will vomit after a while. You are really slow to death. Rist was talking nonsense with his eyes closed, and his face was not flushing. The owner of the tavern opened his eyes wide and looked at Rist in amazement. He remembered that he had just finished his second cup. Sorry, there was a boat jam on the road, so there was a delay. Rist couldn't help but amused when he heard that the other party was actually using it for this reason. Mistgang, your reason is even more unbelievable than mine. You started first. Mr. Gong also spit out abruptly, and then sat next to Rist. Give me a glass of carrot juice. Hearing what Mr. Gong said, the tavern keeper had a headache. Advertisement. Does anyone who is handsome and capable has this special hobby? He couldn't help but think in his heart. Is Riester handsome? Handsome, strong, right? Strong, but came to the pub to drink milk. Is Mistgang handsome? Handsome, strong, right? The tavern owner didn't know this, but since he could sit with Rist, it must be not weak, but he came to the tavern to drink carrot juice. Coming to the tavern and milk was enough to talk about, but I didn't expect something more to talk about. But since the customer has already ordered, he has to do it. After all, he doesn't know what the new guest is like. If he accidentally kills him, he can do it. I didn't expect you to be with carrot juice. I thought you would drink alcohol? The sniper needs to keep his brain in a fresh state at all times, and carrot juice can be eye-catching. Oh, Rist answered faintly and did not answer anything. It's you who actually drank milk. It really surprised me. I like it, can you control it? I don't know why, the dry wine that Riester drank was not as good as the milk poured by Makino. Riester could feel the deep love and warmth from the milk poured by Makino. Soon, Mistgang's carrot juice came up. After Mistgang took a sip, he frowned, and the taste seemed a bit unpleasant to his expectations. This expression really shocked the tavern keeper. It was the first time he made this kind of thing. He didn't have time to taste it, and he didn't know how it tasted. But now he was also secretly swearing in his heart, and made up his mind that after the catastrophe, he must have some weird drinks from the Grand Master to prevent such a situation from happening again. But you guess the movement caused by the first arrival was quite big? Mr. Gong noticed the corpse at Riester's feet. There's no way. Who makes him a pirate? I have to perform my duty. Rist said helplessly. If he did not reveal his identity, Rist would not kill him, but in the end he even revealed his identity as a pirate, and he was still a pirate with a low reward. Rist. How could I let him go? It can be said that his death was entirely self-inflicted. By the way, you actually want to find op fruit? Do you want? Afterwards, Mistgang asked curiously, and upon hearing Mistgang's question, the tavern keeper's pupils shrank. Advertisement: he is not an ordinary boss, he is also a member of North Blue. He runs a tavern here and asks for some information from time to time. And the organization behind them is also looking for op fruit. How is it possible? That's a hot potato. I don't want to get in that trouble, it's the above. Oh, that's how it is. Mistgang naturally understood what Lister meant by the above. The information of the underground forces will be handed over to you. After all, you are more suitable than me in that kind of place. How about you? Thank you for reading this story at fictionzone.net. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Me? For such a leisurely vacation, of course, I want to relax. Before I came, I asked about it. It is said that there is a hot spring in North Blue. I plan to go to the hot spring and feel comfortable. The moon tonight is really round. Co-authored me as your free labor quilt? However, he always remembered the look in the eyes of a person in his mind. That was the look in Mistgang's eyes, as if Shinigami had been staring at him. Although Mistgang didn't say anything, he knew what to do. NS. In this way, the two chatted from day to night as soon as they talked, and the owner of the tavern was on the side, his expression constantly changing. He felt as if he had heard something that he shouldn't have heard, and he didn't know himself. Can this little life be kept? Lister, who walks on the street at night, is definitely extra lively for the people on the street tonight. Then he raised his head and glanced at the moon in the sky. That's it. If there is news, you must notify me in time. Depend on. As he was about to leave the tavern, Lister said to Mistgang. When the two left, the owner of the tavern breathed a sigh of relief, and it seemed that he had escaped. Hearing this, Mistgang was suddenly full of black lines. He also knows in his heart that this thing is what the world government wants. If he knows about it and doesn't report it, don't say whether Lister did it to him, even the people of the world government will definitely not let him go. I know, I can't say that. After all, this meal is my treat, and it's not free. Who are these two people? Mr. Gang asked curiously. He didn't think there would be news of op fruit from the forces on the bright side. Chapter 121. The arrival of Lister did not seem to cause too much trouble for North Blue. Apart from the tavern owner, no one knew that there was another person who was eyeing op fruit, although the major forces were already looking for op on the sea. Fruit has been around for many years, but there is still no news at all. The attractiveness of the fruit that can make people live forever is so great that no one wants to die. Mistgang has successfully penetrated into the underground world of North Blue. Although some news will come out from time to time, there are a lot of useless news and no useful news. This left Lister not knowing what to do in North Blue for a while. Fortunately, North Blue is a good place to enjoy the blessings. The most famous one is a hot spring island in North Blue. Although it is not as good as the island of New World, it is also considered a famous tourist destination in the Four Seas. Even many people who live in the Grand Line will come here. After all, the island of New World is too dangerous for them. After several days of long journeys, and constantly taking and rubbing the boat, I finally arrived at the most beautiful place in the world, Lisa Goddess Island. Listening to the name of this island should have any special meaning. But Lister is not very clear, but this island is indeed very beautiful. It is the most beautiful island that Lister has ever seen, not one of them. The moment he landed on the island, he smelled a faint fragrance of flowers, which instantly made Lister feel refreshed, and his brain felt a little sober. There are many people coming and going, everyone is laughing, and there is a happy expression on his face, and Riester also hears accents from various places in their words. This can be said to be one of the few pure land in North Blue, an island that is not controlled by any forces, but if there are foreign pirates who want to invade this island, then he will face all the forces of North Blue. This place can be said to be the holy land of all North Blue forces, and it can also be said to be the pure land in mind. Whenever someone feels that he has a serious sin, he will come here to soak in a hot spring to wash away the filth and evil in his heart, and then continue to engage in the original evil. So although people from all forces can be seen on this island, all they can see is their harmonious coexistence on this island. No matter how deep the hatred between the two sides outside, they are not allowed to fight here. No one who comes to North Blue dare not follow this hidden rule of North Blue, except of course those who are powerful, such as those who have the strength of Lister. His strength can't care about these rules. Maybe there are some crouching tigers, hidden dragons in North Blue, but Rist believes that those who are always hidden in North Blue will definitely not be his opponents. It is his confidence in his own strength. It's really different. Just as soon as he landed on the island, Rist opened his observation hockey instantly, covering the entire island, and everyone's breath was in full view. Many of them were really huge, even this kind of breath. It's not weak in New World, but Lister is not very familiar with it. Advertisement. Oh roar. It seems that an interesting person has arrived on this island. When Lister covers observation hockey, naturally some strong people feel this hockey, but observation hockey is inevitable, so they can only use their observation hockey to track this observation hockey. Source. In an instant, several different hockey rushed directly in the direction of Rist. Lister didn't care about this. After all, he started first, and it was not right for the other party to do so. Lister was not such a domineering person either. Sure enough, it is the sea area with the most powerful people in the Four Seas. There are indeed a lot of powerful people. Just now, Riester had a complete overview of the environment of the entire island. It was indeed an island suitable for seclusion. Riester planned to build a nest of love for both of them with Makino when he was old. This hockey. A man with yellow hair, sunglasses and a pink feather coat who was walking down the street suddenly stopped. What's the matter, Dover? A sloppy person behind him said that these two people are Don Quixote Doflamingo and Torapal. On this island, there is a monster. Doflamingo's forehead burst into blue veins, and said solemnly. Monster. It shouldn't affect our plan. Who knows? In the next second, Doflamingo's expression changed. The solemn expression disappeared, and a wicked smile appeared instead. As long as you dare to obstruct our plan, just kill it. Doflamingo is very confident in his own strength. Even in the Grand Line, he believes that his strength is not weak, so although he also perceives that Riester's breath is terrifying, he does not think that the opponent will be his opponent. What he didn't know was that Doflamingo came from the Grand Line. If he knew it was the monster marine Rist, he might not think so in his heart. Advertisement. Randomly found a hot spring with a large number of families, and Rist walked in. There must be a reason why there are more people, and it must be a good place. Ah, it's so comfortable. Soaking in the hot spring, Rist felt that his body and mind were relaxed. Yeah, it's been a long time. At this moment, a voice suddenly rang behind Riester. Hearing this sound made Riester really startled. Hastily opened his observation hockey. Aokiji Admiral, why are you here? That's right, the person speaking behind Riester is Aokiji, one of Marine's 3 Admiral. I'm just here on vacation. Why are you here? I remember you seem to be performing that task, right? Yes, it's just that I heard the news that there is that fruit here, so I came to this place first. Rist said without blushing that the laziness was caught by his boss. This is also a living scene of social death. However, his observation hockey did not capture Aokiji's breath just now, which means that when Riester was using observation hockey just now, Aokiji was not on this island, or in a certain basement. Only in this way can we escape the capture of Riester observation hockey. Really? Good luck, then. Will Kuzan Admiral stay here to help me? After all, if it is really that devil fruit, it will be difficult for me to get out of here smoothly. Don't lie, and I don't want to waste the vacation that I don't get easily. That's really a pity. However, the appearance of Kuzan also gave Riester a wake-up call. When using observation hockey to explore the island in the future, he can't just check the surface. Chapter 122. After that, the 2 people stopped talking. One lay forward and the other leaned back. I don't know why. There were only 2 of them in this room. Rist was not embarrassed anyway, but fortunately he stayed like this. He is not a straw hat, Luffy and the others. After seeing Aokiji, they fell in shock. After all, he is not a pirate. At this moment, the phone worm placed next to Rist suddenly rang. Blue brew brew. Click. Rist directly picked up the phone worm next to him, and did not avoid Aokiji. He knew that there was only one person who could get into the phone worm. What's wrong? What's the news this time? Rist asked in a flat tone. At the beginning, his tone was still a bit agitated, but as the false news one after another was confirmed, Rist now heard what Mr. Gang said, and he was no longer so excited. That op fruit has news. Hearing the voice from the phone bug, even Kuzan, who was squinting, opened his eyes. How accurate is it? Half it. Half. There is still value in finding out, right? It is said that op fruit will appear at the biggest auction on Lisa Island. Hearing these words, Riester was silent directly. What's wrong? Mistgang didn't hear a voice from Lister's side for a while, and then asked. It's nothing, but I didn't expect such a coincidence. I'm on Lisa Goddess Island now. Just leave it to me here. You don't want to use it anymore. Keep searching for information. Good. Mistgang did not expect such a coincidence to happen. It seems that this hot spring can't be soaked. Advertisement. Riester stood up from the hot spring, and his sturdy body was exposed to Aokiji at a glance, but Aokiji did not have any jealousy. After all, his body was stronger than Riester. If Naval Headquarters held a bodybuilding competition, Riester would not even be in the top 5. Unexpectedly, you are very well informed. There will be news of that devil fruit so soon. I don't know if it is true or not. During this period of time, I have received a lot of false news about this devil fruit. It is exhausting me. That auction is on this island. Are you sure you don't want to come and see it with me? Quote. Riester invited Aokiji again, and none of Rear Admiral treated an admiral with respect. After all, respect is given to those who are capable, not to those of higher status. Rist now doesn't think Aokiji will be his opponent. In other words, among the current 3 Admiral, Rist is not afraid of anyone. Akainu's attack power is very powerful, but as long as it can't attack him, it has no effect at all. Aokiji is also the same, and it is still reflective and translucent, and Riester can be directly elementalized and passed through the ice. As for Kizaru, although he can keep up with his speed, in terms of swordsmanship, Rist firmly suppresses Kizaru. Riester feels that even if he is facing Whitebeard now, he can still fight against him. The final win or loss is really uncertain. Of course, these are just wishful thinking of Riester. If there is a fight, surely it will not proceed smoothly according to Riester's vision. After Riester left, Aokiji closed his eyes again, as if everything could not disturb him now, and he really lived up to his lazy justice. When walking out of the spa, Riester suddenly found that there were many more people on the street, and most of them were carrying weapons, and Riester also noticed that several people exuded the same breath as him. They were of the same kind. Feel. A member of the world government. Rist frowned and thought that he didn't want to deal with the people of the world government, and he was definitely a member of CP0 who could be sent to perform such an important task as op fruit. For them, Rist was hiding far away. And the three people naturally discovered Riester, and they all recognized him. After all, the agency department of the world government knows almost anyone in Marine, but they only know Riester's strength is good, but they don't know Riester's strength. How is it? What kind of ability does it have? The three of them didn't respond to Riester either. After all, they thought they were superior and would not take the initiative to greet a Marine. This is a matter of dignity and face, and even if they talk to Rist, it will definitely be an orderly tone. If they dared to speak to Riester in a commanding tone, what awaited them would be a blast. After all, their strength was at best the Naval Headquarters Vice Admiral in Riester's observation. Advertisement. Such strength is too weak in Riester's eyes. Marine sent a young guy like this to perform such an important task. Although they won't talk to Riester, they will talk to each other. The masked man on the far left spoke in a sharp voice. Don't talk, Hado, that guy's strength is far from his seemingly immature. There is a terrifying force in his body that can even endanger my life. The person in the middle also said that he seemed to be the leader of the three, speaking with more weight and being the strongest. What? That guy is stronger than you, Hado said in an unbelievable tone. Maybe there is some powerful devil fruit, right? Huh, that's really a lucky guy. As soon as he heard that there was a powerful devil fruit in Riester's body, Dove's tone was full of jealousy and a trace of envy. He also wants to get a devil fruit, but he has never had what he wants. There are a lot of ordinary zone and garbage paramesha in the world government, but he doesn't like these. Afterwards, the three of them were not discussing Riester's issue, but walked directly to the auction house. But Rist unexpectedly found an acquaintance on the road, and that was Brally, a former student and part-time brother of Rist. Looking at the marine coat that Blare wore, he was already a colonel. It is estimated that he can return to the headquarters after serving here for a few years. As one of Riester's first students in Devil Fruit, his strength should not be underestimated. He is now well known inside North Blue Marine. The pirates of North Blue have to take a detour when they see him. Riester didn't know it. And when Riester noticed Blally also noticed him. The expression in his eyes went from unbelievable to unbelievable, and finally to excitement. Big Brother. Chapter 123 Gathering at the Auction House. Big Brother, long time no see. Without pulling, you trod directly in front of Riester, and said with a look of excitement. It's been a long time, Brally, it should be 10 years. Rist also said in an emotional tone. Although he knew that Blally had been stationed in North Blue, it was really a surprise to be able to meet him here. Yes, brother, I thought I had confessed a mistake just now, but I didn't expect it to be you. The smile on Blally's face could no longer be hidden, and the excitement was already beyond words. But brother, why did you come to North Blue? I'm still thinking about a few years later. When I return to the headquarters, I will gather with you. At the beginning, our group of students missed you very much. I just came here to rest. Of course Riester could not tell him his mission. The group of students who were with you at the beginning, how many are still left? I don't know, but there should be about 10 still alive. Speaking of this, Blally's tone is also a bit low. As the students in the same class, the feelings are naturally extremely deep. There are only 20 people in a class. Really? There are only 10. Rist is also a little silent. This is the era of the great pirates. 10 years later, there are 10 more alive, which is already very good. The marine soldiers behind Blare looked at Rist with curious expressions. They were very curious in their hearts. Who was the one that made their chief very excited? You are here, mission. Rist asked curiously, but he should also have some guesses in his heart, which should be the same as his purpose. Well, it is said that there is news about op fruit here, so I was sent to see if the news about this fruit is true or not. If it is true, then you must bring this fruit back anyway. If it was true, I was not sure about it myself, but now that the eldest brother appears, I am more sure that there is an eldest brother, it is absolutely foolproof. Quote. Rist smiled when he heard Blally's compliment. When I was in North Blue, I was often able to read the reports of my elder brother on the Grand Line in the newspaper. I was really excited. I really wanted to be a member of the eldest brother's warship. Perhaps it was the reason for the long-lost reunion. Brally seemed to have endless words for Riester, and he kept talking to Riester with excitement on his face. Advertisement. Well, let's retell the old and wait until later. Now it is your task that is more important. Yes, sir. Afterwards, Brally turned around and said to the soldier under his hand. This is Riester Rear Admiral from Naval Headquarters, and also the instructor when first was in Marine Academy. You must respect him very much, do you understand? I understand. The soldiers he brought over also said with excitement, especially after knowing the identity of Rist. If Sengoku and Garp are the idols of the elderly soldiers, and Kuzan, Akainu and Kazaru are the idols of the middle-aged soldiers, then Rist is the idol of Marine young soldiers. Okay, don't make such a big battle. North Blue is more familiar to you, here I will let you lead the way. Yes, brother, no, yes, Rist Rear Admiral. After that, Rist followed Brally, but depending on Brally's familiarity, it didn't look like the first time he came to this island. Have you been here before? Rist asked curiously. Yes, brother, after all, I have been in North Blue for 10 years. When I usually rest, I will come to this place to relax. Well, relax and stop, but pay attention to temperance. No, brother, just to relax, not what you think. Hearing what Riester said, Blaley said with a constipation expression on his face. Oh, all right. Brawley was a little bit dumbfounded. He felt that he hadn't been with Lister in 10 years. How did he feel that Lister's personality had changed so much? Soon, the group came to the largest auction house on Lisa's Goddess Island, the Goddess Auction House. This auction house is generally not allowed to enter. If it is not led by Blaley, it is estimated that Rist will not be allowed to enter. But it's different from behind Brawley. Brawley is now well known in North Blue, so the auction house naturally has to give Brawley a face and put Riester at ease. When Blaley walked into the auction house, the noisy auction house fell into a moment of silence. After all, most of the people here are not very glorious, so in front of Marine, their hearts are more or less cringe. It seems that this time attracted a lot of people. Advertisement. Bulalai looked around and found that he had many acquaintances. Oh, who is there? Riester is interested. He is now wearing a blindfold, so he can't recognize who is who at all. Even if he encounters a character in the original book, Riester can't recognize it. There is the flamingo who dominates the North Blue side, Doflamingo. There is also the most powerful bounty hunter in the North Blue underground, Urser. The second in command of a killer organization, Kullal, and some others. Really? Doflamingo is here. Dover, who is that guy? Blaley's eyes changed. He had also seen some pirates with identity, but it was the first time he saw a pirate who could not even provoke Naval Headquarters Vice Admiral. Others in the auction house were speculating about Riester's identity. After all, he could sit with Brawley, and Brawley was still respectful, which could not help but arouse their doubts about Riester's identity. Brawley said with a smile. Doflamingo said with a grin, his voice trembling, he didn't know whether it was excited or frightened. I really offended him with that thing, what should I do? Who is that young man? Then eldest brother, do you want to catch him? If you are here, he must have nowhere to escape. Big brother, do you know? Hey, that guy is a monster, a real monster. I see, brother. Torpal asked Doflamingo, because he saw Doflamingo's body trembling. Then I will avenge you. Forget it, Doflamingo's identity is a bit special. I don't want to get mad for him, so do you. If there is no special reason, don't provoke him, otherwise even your Vice Admiral father won't protect you. Thank you, brother, with your words, I'm relieved. Thank you for reading this story at fictionzone.net. Your support enables us to keep the site running. I don't know, but it looks like it should be a Marine. No, I've just heard of it. It is said to be a very cunning pirate who has escaped from Vice Admiral's hands several times. He is considered to be one of the few pirates with a head. Chapter 124. An interesting auction. First didn't expect Marine to send such a monster here. It seems that their world government is really bound to win op fruit. Although Doflamingo didn't know who Rist was, or that he didn't know that this person was Rist, the powerful aura exuding from Rist's body couldn't be hidden from him. The monster-like aura made his body cannot help but shudder. This is definitely not something ordinary people can do. His strength is not weak. He can escape from the hands of Vice Admiral several times. Whatever the strength is, he must have the standards of Naval Headquarters Vice Admiral. Even if it is a little bit, he must have Rear Admiral strength. But in the face of Lister, he couldn't even give birth to a trace of warfare. No one else in this auction house was in his eyes. Doflamingo only saw Lister as a variable in his eyes. Before seeing Lister, he still felt that he had the power to fight him, but now after meeting him, he knew how ridiculous his idea just now was. He has recognized it. Lister is just now. Those who unscrupulously covered observation hockey on the island, now it seems that Rist does have that wayward strength. Is there a lot of rubbish? No one is worthy of me. Riester could feel the strength of these people through his breath, and said, if op fruit really appears here, Riester is absolutely sure to take op fruit and leave from here unharmed. And there is also an Admiral Iokiji on this island. Even if there is an accident midway, the two Admiral-level combat powers, as long as they are not from the Whitebeard pirate group, no one can threaten them. Ha ha ha, brother, you dare to say such things here. Brawley smiled. Indeed, Lister had the confidence to say such things. If he said such things, he probably wouldn't be able to leave here alive. There are several people who are not weaker than him. It seems that your training is not enough. After you return to the headquarters, you have to increase your training. Otherwise, with your strength, whether you can survive the waves of the future, it will be unknown. No, brother. Brawley immediately burst into tears. As a person who has been trained by Lister for 2 years, he knows the intensity of Lister's training. The trainer is really not merciful. Obviously, when training this group of them, Rissel was the first instructor, but he seemed to have had several years of experience. He was very sophisticated, and any students who sneaked and skid could not escape his perception. Advertisement. I hope you can return to Naval Headquarters. Although everyone else in this auction house was curious about Riester's identity, they wouldn't be an enemy of Riester if he didn't hinder them. The auction officially started as scheduled. This auction can be said to be North Blue's largest auction in the last few years. It is not for anything else, but only for the op fruit who does not know the true or false. If it is true, then they are worth the trip, but if it is false, they have not lost anything. At most, the boss behind this auction may suffer. After all, this news was released, but a lot of people played it. Although op fruit is a gimmick now, there are many good things in it, such as famous knives, treasure maps, etc., but none of them can get Riester's eyesight. For these things, Rist dismissed all of them. Of course, unlike Lister, other people still have some interest in these things. Many things that Lister finds useless have been paid an unexpectedly high price. For example, for a painting of sunflowers, Riester can't really appreciate how good he is, but he sold a good price of 100 million yuan, which is not weaker than the price of a devil fruit. Another example is a pistol, which is inlaid with diamonds and is made of gold. It is of no use at all. It is completely a work of art and ornamental, but it has sold 250 million Baileys at auction. Such a high price made Rist's head completely blind, 250 million Baileys, enough to buy several meals of gold. Some people can't earn more than 20 million in their lifetime, but some people can get it in 1 hour. Lister can only say one thing now: he doesn't understand the world of the rich. Thank you for reading this story at fictionzone.net. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Advertisement. The total savings he currently has on his body is no more than 20 million. In Pirate World, more than 20 million are said to be poor, but rich cannot be counted as rich. If it's the supreme sharp knife, Nestor will be very interested, and even if he is strong at that time, Rist will grab him. After all, it is only made of ores that carry thunder attributes. Even if it has thunder attributes, it cannot cause the effects of thunder and lightning. It is already very good to have the characteristics of paralysis. This is also true. If the thunder was for nothing, Riester would have a strong interest, but if you spend money, then forget it. Even if Riester has enough funds to buy the knife, he will not buy it. Brother, are you interested in that knife? No. The only one that made Riester a little interested was a famous knife, one of the 21st big knives. The name of the knife is Thunder, which is similar to Riester's wind, except that one has the characteristics of sharp wind and the other is thunder. Attribute paralysis. After all, what he is good at is the one-sword flow, and he also has a blaze that is also a big sharp knife 21 job in the warehouse, and he doesn't know if it is rusted. But the supreme sharp knife that Riester knows now is only the naginata in Whitebeard's hand Kong Yunchi, but Riester is not good at using naginata. Even if he gets a naginata, it's just a chicken rib. This is also caused by the huge gap between the status of nobles and civilians in this world. Of course, there is also a gap in strength. In other words, he captured the pirates of 100 million Baileys to get a 1 million commission. After all, I don't know when the rumored purpose within Marine resulted in them. What they need is war exploits, not money. But when the value of the knife exceeded 50 million Baileys, Lister had already lost interest. There was no other reason, it was simply because he didn't have enough money. When Lister joined Marine, this atmosphere had already formed, otherwise Lister would have to teach those who spread such unhealthy trends. Brally leaned over to Rist's side and asked in a low voice. Although he is now Marine Rear Admiral, he has a dead salary in 1 year. At most, he catches some big pirates and has some achievements, but they are all 1% of the rewards of those pirates. Chapter 125, Cunning Auction House, Bundled Sales. Perhaps I felt that most people in this auction house exuded a kind of impatient emotion, and this auction finally reached the final chapter. The direct auctioneer opened his arms, his face was very excited, and his tone was also very excited. The next thing to be auctioned is devil fruit, known as the secret treasure of the sea. Hearing these words, the atmosphere in the auction house instantly changed, becoming a lot more dignified, and the atmosphere seemed a bit depressing. This devil fruit, as our Chamber of Commerce has gone through untold hardships since. Don't ink. Start quickly, otherwise Lousy will kill you in a moment. At this time, a person suddenly interrupted the long-winded words of the auctioneer. Obviously, he was already a little impatient in waiting. Well, since the guest officer can't wait any longer, the auction of devil fruit will now officially begin. I saw that a mysterious object covered with red cloth was slowly pushed onto the auction stage. What is this devil fruit? Then I will lift the mysterious veil of this devil fruit. After speaking, the direct auctioneer held a corner of the red cloth and pulled it with his hand, and a devil fruit appeared directly in the public's field of vision. And the moment he saw this devil fruit, Riester lost interest. Although he didn't know what devil fruit it was obviously not op fruit. He still read the op fruit illustration. Also disappointed are the members of Doflamingo and the CP organization. They all came here after they knew what op fruit was. Boss, is this devil fruit? No, the appearance of this op fruit is 1,000 miles away. Let me just say, op fruit world government has been looking for something for decades, how could it appear so easily? Brally didn't feel a little disappointed either, because he didn't have any expectations at the beginning. Someone has already turned and left at the auction, and those who left have also recognized that this is not op fruit, so there is no need for them to waste time here. Sure enough, it's another fake news. Doflamingo's forehead burst into blue veins. Although he didn't have any expectations at first, the feeling of being fooled made him feel very uncomfortable. This devil fruit has been identified by us as paramesha, and the fruit is seen through. After taking this devil fruit, the eyes can penetrate any object. Originally, some people who expected to hear about this fruit immediately lost their interest. If this fruit is an LSP, you might still like it, but for most people or even everyone present, it is a chicken rib. Chicken ribs of no use at all. Advertisement. However, for the person who photographed this devil fruit, we will also give a copy of Op Fruit News. Hearing this, those who were about to get up and leave suddenly stopped, including Doflamingo and Riester. You can guarantee that the news of Op Fruit is true. At this moment, the person next to the stage suddenly shouted, and also asked the question that everyone in the auction house is related to. Please rest assured, with the reputation of our auction house, this Op Fruit News is absolutely true and correct. Hearing the affirmative tone of the auctioneer, those who were about to leave returned to their seats again. This auction house is really a good strategy. Knowing that the ability to see through the fruit is not very attractive, so I bundled the news of Op Fruit with the transparent fruit. The real man is a profiteer. Bradley also cursed. There is no way, this is the nature of the businessman. Rist said helplessly. The starting price is 500 million Baileys, and the price increase is not less than 10 million Baileys each time. Hearing this starting price, some people suddenly fell into despair. 500 million Baileys, this is simply cheating. The value of the transparent fruit may not even be counted as 100 million Baileys, and all the rest is the value of Op Fruit News. If you can really get Op Fruit, you won't lose 500 million Baileys, but if you don't get it, then everything will be overwhelmed. Anyone will feel distressed. So when you hear the starting price, the scene suddenly fell into silence. No one opened the offer, and they all measured in their hearts whether 500 million Baileys were worth it. And the auctioneer is not in a hurry, because he believes that someone will ask for the price, and no one can resist the temptation of Op Fruit. After all, that is the fruit that the world government wants to get with a reward of 5 billion. If it is really obtained, even if it is not used, it will still be profitable if it is sold to the world government. 550 million Bailey. At this moment, a wealthy businessman sitting in front suddenly opened his mouth to bid, and Rist felt the breath of the opponent, just a rich ordinary person, without much strength. But this call completely ignited the entire auction house. 600 million Baileys. Advertisement. 7 billion Baileys. 710 million Bailey. The price was getting higher and higher, and it soon broke through the affordability of some people, and there were fewer and fewer bidding voices. Brother, what should we do? We don't have enough money. Do you think this news is important or is life important? Afterwards, Blayley asked an ordinary soldier behind him. Brally said with a sad face. Of course life is important. Sure enough, upon hearing Liester's words, Blayley noticed that the killer organization, bounty hunter organization, and some other big pirates were all watching and did not take action. But Blayley was still at a loss. Be at ease, this news, you can't get away. You see, those people are also very calm. That's not enough. At this time, Brally really doubted whether there was any problem with his IQ. Moreover, the more powerful guys haven't taken any action yet. Afterwards, Eulalie looked in the direction of Riester's fingers, and saw that the people of the CP organization were very calm. Although they were wearing masks, they couldn't see the expressions on their faces, but they never moved like a mountain. From the body, it seemed as if they had a great deal of certainty about it. Thank you for reading this story at fictionzone.net. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Hearing Brayley's question, List really wanted to reveal his head to see what was inside. Aren't they afraid of this news running away? He didn't take this news seriously at all, so he brought a few million Baileys with him, and even if he collected all the money from all the marine branches of North Blue, he wouldn't be able to get 500 million Baileys. Do you understand it? Well, don't think about it, don't think about it, the next is the wonderful time. I see, sir. Chapter 126. Soon, the price has broken through to 1 billion, and there are fewer and fewer bidders, and the big guys are starting to make moves. There are so many rich people. Rist thought inwardly, and he was also very envious. He was exhausted all day, and after several years, no one was sitting there, earning more money. 1.5 billion Baileys. When this price appeared, the scene suddenly fell into silence. The price just now was more than 1 billion and less than 1.1 billion, but now this person has added more than 400 million Baileys. Others are tens of millions of dollars plus, and suddenly there is one that adds hundreds of millions, which naturally aroused the attention of everyone present. Everyone looked back and found that the person asking for the price was a member of the CP organization of the world government. This immediately caused some people who knew them to retreat. There was no one in the CP who was very annoying. Whether it was CP0 or CP9, the things targeted by the world government were a hot potato for them. It's not so easy to take. Are those guys finally feeling lonely? Rist thought in his heart that he had thought that these people could wait a little longer, or that he had the same idea in his heart, but now it seemed that he was thinking too much. 1.5 billion Baileys, is there any price increase? If not, the news of transparent fruit and op fruit will belong to that gentleman. The auctioneer held up the microphone and shouted, as if he was a little bit reconciled that these two items were worth 1.5 billion Baileys, hoping that someone would increase the price. Hurry up, stop the ink, hurry up and drop the hammer to make a deal. One of the members said impatiently, how could he not see the careful thought of the auctioneer? Well, then these two treasures belong to that person. Hey, the people in the world government really have a lot of face, I'm giving out 1.6 billion Baileys. When the auctioneer was about to drop the hammer, Doflamingo directly interrupted him, and once again increased the price by 100 million. Doflamingo, UB asterisk 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 D. This thing is what the 5 adults want to get, you dare to intervene. Obviously, through what he said, he still knew a little bit about Doflamingo's identity. Hey, you are just a bunch of guard dogs, you are not qualified to talk to me. You. One of them pointed to Doflamingo, and immediately wanted to curse. Advertisement. Calm. But he was stopped directly by the man in the middle. Well, Doflamingo, I hope you can withstand the anger of those 5 adults. After speaking, the 3 members of the CP organization left here directly, seemingly to report to the above. Boss, this Doflamingo's identity is really unusual. It can make the people of the world government suffer a dumb loss. I haven't seen them bow their heads in anyone other than celestial dragons. Yeah, like you said, they didn't lower their heads in front of anyone other than celestial dragons. Doesn't that mean that Doflamingo is celestial dragons? Blair stared and said, as if he had discovered some great secret. I have to say that at this time, Blair's reaction speed was still very fast. Yes, but you just need to know this secret yourself, don't tell others. I see. Afterwards, Blair's eyes on Doflamingo became different, a little jealous. He suddenly remembered that Riester had warned him not to provoke Doflamingo because of such an identity. Are there any bids? No one will belong to Mr. Heavenly Yaksha anymore. But no matter how much the auctioneer tried, there was no one in there to bid. After all, some smart people just noticed that Doflamingo's identity was unusual. Let's congratulate. See-through fruit and op-op fruit information belongs to Mr. Heavenly Yaksha Doflamingo. Later, there was a salute and some sparse applause. But for this, Doflamingo didn't care at all. What he wanted to know was whether the op-op fruit news was true. Mr. Doflamingo, please come with me and I will tell you about op-op fruit in it. Later, Doflamingo was invited backstage by the auctioneer. Boss, what should we do? We can't get the news of op-op fruit. Don't worry, the news is there, you can't run away. Advertisement. Soon, Doflamingo walked out with a smile on his face, as if he had received a piece of news that satisfied him. It looks like this news is true. Perceiving Doflamingo's emotions, Riester thought to his heart. Although he doesn't know Doflamingo very well, if the news is fake, Doflamingo won't let it go. Okay, you can go back first, just leave it to me. Don't worry, no problem, after all, I came here with a mission. The ordinary Chamber of Commerce Riester Marine was unable to act, but in the face of the pirates, Riester had no scruples. All those interested in op-op fruit quietly followed behind Doflamingo. Of course it was killed, and after returning, tell Diamante to take the money back to me. Our money is not so easy to get. Doflamingo and Torapal did not come to the port, but came to a remote place, seeming to have deliberately led them to this place. Although Rist did not tell Blair about the content of his mission, he said so only to relieve Blair. Originally, Rist wanted to return to the auction house and asked about the news from the population of the auction house, but thinking about it, he gave up his identity as Marine, so he could only turn his attention to Doflamingo. Afterwards, the two separated. Lister understood Doflamingo's thoughts instantly. In case he convinced Doflamingo, and the revealed news was accidentally heard by other people, he would have to spend some time to clean up the others. After that, Riester followed Doflamingo quietly, but instead of following Doflamingo, it was more open and honest, and Riester was not the only one. Boss. Torapal asked Doflamingo. They had already noticed the people following them behind them. Are you planning to kill all those people in one fell swoop? That's good, so I can save myself a while. Thank you for reading this story at fictionzone.net. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Dover, what about the flies behind you? Yes, Dover. Now that Doflamingo does it for you, that would be the best. Okay, brother, the op-op fruit matter is left to you, don't let him fall into the hands of the pirate. Chapter 127. Soon, Doflamingo led the people to a remote place, and then stopped. Except for Riester, who followed these two people in an upright manner, all the others went into hiding. Although their figures and breaths are well hidden, under observation Hockey's perception, they are as bright as the stars at night, and it is very difficult to pretend to be ignorant. You guys, come out. Doflamingo didn't seem to see Lister, and didn't choose to take care of Lister. However, after Doflamingo's voice fell, no one came out, apparently intending to hide to the end, to see who couldn't help being patient and start acting first. Don't you come out, then you will never need to come out. I saw that Doflamingo suddenly stretched his palm upwards. In the perception of Lister observation Hockey, countless tiny threads shot out of Doflamingo's fingers, and Lister's figure stood slightly to the side. One time. Because a thread was shot at him. It's really dishonest. Riester made up his mind to teach Doflamingo a lesson later. And Doflamingo saw Rist avoiding his thread and frowned a little. His invincible moves rarely missed, but almost everyone who could make him missed was beyond his ability. People. Trouble. Doflamingo thought inwardly, but the others were indeed hit. Under the shaking of Doflamingo's fingers, screams came from all directions. Hey, what's the matter with you? There was a panic shout. I don't know, I can't control my own body. What? Then, there was a scream. Advertisement. This kind of conversation also rang everywhere around him. It's really a means full of evil taste. Lister did not respond to the screams in his ears. Anyway, none of these people were good people. Soon, several people appeared on the roof, in the house, and in the alleys. Some were holding knives and some were holding guns, but they all had a common characteristic. That is, the body was covered with bloodline, and his eyes revealed horror, as if he didn't know what was going on. Hume to toi to personally to kill your colleague, what is it to be like? Doflamingo said with a wicked smile, I have to say that this kind of thing is indeed a wonderful performance for some people, and some people are really interested in this kind of cannibalism performance. Doflamingo's acting style is indeed very consistent with his name in the underground world, Joker, clown. However, unlike ordinary circus clowns, one is in front of the scene and the other is behind the scenes. The silk thread in the hand seems to be the fate of all the masters, playing in the palm of the hand. Doflamingo, is it you guy? Hearing what Doflamingo said, someone immediately reacted and shouted angrily at Doflamingo. Although Doflamingo can control their bodies, there is no way to manipulate their thoughts and expressions. Hey, come on, you guys start to enjoy the feast of fighting. After that, Doflamingo's fingers kept shaking, and all the people controlled by him began to kill each other. It was obvious that their target was Doflamingo alone, but now, their target is each other, our own. They cleave each other with knives, shoot each other with guns, and those with knives can't beat those with guns. They are still just dolls after all. They can't make excessively exaggerated movements, just a few simple actions that can't be simpler. Doflamingo, you be ********** D. Someone scolded. In doing so, they not only suffered physical torment, but also suffered a lot in their hearts, because they were not hurting the enemy, but their own comrades in arms, and maybe they were still friends of life and death. Hume, be ********* D. Don't you find it interesting to do this? There is nothing more interesting to kill yourself by yourself, right? Ah, advertisement. Some people have collapsed and yelled madly. It seems that such a person is hurting their most important person. The fight soon ended. None of those people were standing anymore, all lying on the ground like corpses. Don't insult our young master. Next, it's up to you, Marine. At this moment, Torpal suddenly stepped forward and said to Lister. Is that all you can do, Doflamingo? You seem to be nothing but a little clever. Hearing what Lister said, Doflamingo's forehead was suddenly violent. He is a very conceited person, but also a very irritable person. The hall that Lister looked down at just now completely ignited him. Anger. Doflamingo turned his head to the direction where Riester was. Arrogant. Just now Rist was like an outsider, standing there quietly, without any movement of his figure, and said nothing, but Doflamingo knew that this was a big fish that could even swallow it. Bullet string. Doflamingo raised his index finger directly, and the thin line formed by the tip of his finger was shot at high speed. The power of this thin line was even stronger than that of a bullet. Thank you for reading this story at fictionzone.net. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Doflamingo, isn't it? If you are acquainted, please tell me the news about Op Fruit, otherwise you will inevitably endure some skin pains. It was not that he had lost his voice, but that Lister had given him a great sense of oppression and had made him forget what to say. There is no place for you to speak, shut up. However, Rist turned his head slightly, and the tiny thread flew directly over his head. Torpal's nose swayed back and forth under the suppression of this momentum, and even the cloak made with power seemed to be blown away. The sunglasses he was wearing had already happened under this momentum. Broken, he opened his mouth and wanted to speak, but found that he couldn't say a word. Although Doflamingo is not the target of this momentum, he also feels a great sense of oppression in his body. This is the first time he has faced such terrifying pressure directly. Even the former Vice Admiral is not so powerful. Aura, and this aura does not belong to Conqueror's Hockey. In an instant, a strong momentum burst out centered on Rist, and pressed strongly towards Torpal. Chapter 128. Just when Torpal was about to be pressured by this aura, a powerful and domineering aura suddenly burst out from behind him, forming a rivalry with the aura that erupted from Rist's body. Dover. Torpal said with a bit of fear. He doesn't even have the idea of taking a shot at Lister now. Now as soon as he sees Lister, his legs are shaking, and he can't help trembling all over. You retreat, the next battle is not for you to participate in. Doflamingo said solemnly. Torpal's strength is not weak, it can even be said to be very strong, even in the first half of the Grand Line, it can be said to be a leader, but now, because of the aura of a person, he has gotten down. Has it started? At this time, after Aokiji, who had just soaked in the hot spring, felt the breath coming from afar, he thought silently, and then walked in the opposite direction. Although he hadn't seen the strength of Lister, he wanted to be able to solve the opponent. After all, he was the person who possessed Admiral's power in the words of Marshal Sengoku. Is this your Conqueror's Hockey, Doflamingo? It's really too weak. What? Before Doflamingo could understand what Riester meant, the aura on Riester's body suddenly changed, becoming even more terrifying and more domineering. The Golden Conqueror's Hockey directly pressed against Doflamingo. Although Doflamingo's Conqueror's Hockey was also stubbornly resisting, it was of no use at all, just like the gap between an ant and a giant elephant. This is not a disparity in quantity, but a qualitative difference, which is not one-dimensional at all. Who on earth are you? Doflamingo said palely. I'm just an ordinary marine, the nemesis of you pirates. Damn it, I didn't expect a monster like you to appear in marine. Advertisement. Monster. Are you talking about me? Haha, I didn't expect to be called a monster one day. Known as a monster by Doflamingo, Riester didn't feel any bad mood, but was a little excited. He used to call others monsters, but now others call him monsters. 5 color strings. I saw Doflamingo posing as a beast claw and grabbing forward, and the 5 white lines cut directly towards Rist. Not much. For this kind of attack, Rist just pulled out the seal without using any moves. He directly slashed down slightly, and the 5 white lines were cut neatly without any resistance, as if it's the same as cutting tofu. This sword is a great swordsman. The expression on Doflamingo's face became more solemn, and the moment when Rist pulled out the seal, the aura of the great swordsman on his body also exploded for a moment. Under the swordsmanship of that great swordsman, even if Rist didn't use a sword, his white line seemed to be unable to hold on. Suddenly, noticing Riester's dress, Doflamingo seemed to think of something. There are very few great swordsmen in Marine, or even none. After all, the Vice Admiral of Marine are also swordsmen. It can be said that no one in Marine is a grandmaster in Kendo. But in recent years, there has been a great swordsman among Marine, wearing a blindfold, and the pirate who almost met, did not let him make a second shot. Are you the Naval Headquarters Rear Admiral, Riester? Doflamingo asked. Aha, didn't you expect my name to be so loud? Even you, the clown who lives in North Blue, already knows my name. I didn't expect it to be you. Marine was willing to send a monster like you to the world from the Grand Line. It seems that Marine is really sure to win op fruit. Doflamingo spoke as if he had recognized his inner guess. No, I came to North Blue by myself. After all, my instinct tells me that op fruit will appear in North Blue. Advertisement. Hearing Riester's words to let him leave, Doflamingo didn't talk nonsense, and just turned and left. He didn't want to continue talking with this monster. Who knows if he will suddenly regret it later. Toripal also followed Doflamingo silently, and did not say any nonsense. After all, he was completely scared by Riester now. It is no exaggeration to say that Riester stared at him now, maybe he could give he stared and peed. Doflamingo, you really deserve to be able to run smoothly in the underground world, you are really a smart person. Since I have received the news, then I won't be embarrassed by you. You can go first. So, do you want to suffer some skin and flesh, or just tell me the news of op fruit? Quote. But now it seems that my intuition is correct, North Blue really has a clue about op fruit. Rist pointed the knife at Doflamingo, and at this moment, Doflamingo felt as if he was surrounded by sword intent, and there was pain like splitting all over his body, but there was no such wound. After Doflamingo struggled, he finally told the news he had received. Rist praised Doflamingo. Hearing Liester's answer, Doflamingo's expression was taken aback. It seemed that he didn't expect Riester to appear in North Blue because of his own instinct. Thank you for reading this story at fictionzone.net. Your support enables us to keep the site running. He is not afraid of the troubles of the underground world. He is afraid of the troubles of the world government. Those troubles are really troublesome. The news I got is that op fruit appeared in the White Town Frevens. Compared to this kind of news, his own life is more important, because he is not sure whether Rist will kill him on the spot. If it is Crane or even Sengoku, he will entangle with the other party. But even if Doflamingo was cleaned up by him, Riester would not kill him. After all, Doflamingo's special identity would cause him a lot of trouble if he killed him. If it is Doflamingo in the peak period in the future, it is indeed qualified to have a few tricks with Riester, but the current strength of Doflamingo has not reached the peak period, and there is still a huge gap compared with him more than 10 years later. During the journey away, no one talked about the words of revenge for Rist after the event, because it was useless. They didn't have the strength to retaliate, and maybe they would be the one who would suffer in the end. White Town Frevens. It's really a troublesome place. Chapter 129. Before coming to North Blue, Riester also got to know North Blue a little bit. Among them, the town of Frevens is a place that Riester knows especially about and needs special attention. To say which place in North Blue is the most chaotic, it is none other than Frevens. Frevens is one of the very wealthy places in North Blue. The name of the White Town is because the ground and trees in the country are as white and flawless as the country of ice and snow in the fairy tale world. This is a beautiful paradise on Earth. Of a country. The root of this dreamy landscape is the discovery of a lead mine called amber lead in the country's stratum. This lead mine has a very wide range of uses. It can not only be used to produce tableware, paint, sweet flavoring, cosmetics, but also can be used to produce weapons. High-quality amber lead products have buyers all over the world, which is one of the reasons why such a country is rich, and the most important reason. But before coming to North Blue, Riester also inquired about some information about Frevens in Naval Headquarters. In his identity, some secret information can be detected. The world government has already investigated Frevens, after all, they will not give up on such a big business opportunity. However, after the investigation, they found that this amber lead is not a good thing, but a kind of poison, a kind of highly toxic, but in order to obtain the benefits earned by the amber lead, the world government and the royal family of this country hide this one, the truth. This also led to the deaths of the citizens of that country one after another, and other countries were eyeing their Now Freffens is already a country full of wars. If I remember correctly, then Freffens should be Trafalgar Law's hometown. Walking down the street, Riester thought inwardly. Slowly, Rist walked to the port, and found that Braley's warship was waiting for him in the port. Big brother, here, Braley yelled at Lister. Hearing Braley's voice, List also jumped directly onto the boat. How about, brother, is there any news? Braley asked Riester. The reason why Braley was so anxious about Op Fruit's news was that it was a great military achievement to find Op Fruit. It was enough to make him return to naval headquarters. NS. Where? Blarley asked with gleaming eyes, thinking that he wanted to eat Op Fruit if he didn't know it. Advertisement. In the White Town, Frevens. What? Hearing this place, Blalay's heat seemed to be extinguished by a basin of cold water. Brother, you don't want to go to that place. Well, I'm going to take a look at that place. After all, my intuition tells me that the news that Op Fruit appeared in Frevens is likely to be true. No, brother, there is an infectious disease breaking out there, and it's dangerous to go there now. And I heard some gossip that the world government seems to be planning to destroy that country completely. Quote. Braley said with a serious face that, as a person who has been to North Blue for about 10 years, he naturally knows Freffens very well. Although he doesn't know some secret things, Brer is concerned about the current situation of Freffens. Ray knows too much better than Rist. Don't worry, it's not an infectious disease, it's just a toxin. As long as it isn't contaminated with amber lead, it won't be contaminated with that toxin. Poison. Brother, what's going on? Do you know something inside? Hearing that Lister actually called the infectious disease poisoning, Blaley asked suspiciously, and his tone was full of seriousness and dignity. Well, Perkin-lead disease is not an infectious disease, but a highly toxic. And this is something the world government has already known. No, then why didn't they stop it? Braley felt that his heart was greatly shaken, as if his worldview had collapsed. What do you think? Wealth. Braley's commander in the past 10 years was not in vain, and soon he understood their ways. Yes, amber lead has brought them a huge amount of wealth. Damn it, are those nobles still human? They are actually making money with human lives. Bulaley knocked directly on the wall of the ship with his fist. In an instant, a fist mark appeared on the wall of the ship, which shows how much power Bulaley used. Brother, are we marine really right now? Are we worthy of the 2 words behind it? It's fine if you don't know, but Blair knows this fact, and this fact makes him a little unbearable. Advertisement. Braley has a Marine Vice Admiral father. He has lived in naval headquarters since he was a child, and he has been exposed to some positive news about the government. Even when he came to North Blue, Braley did not get too close. Level stuff. At most, some people bribed him or something, but this kind of problem is serious, and it is neither serious nor serious. Who knows, I think I'm sorry for those 2 words anyway. Rist's tone was also a little melancholy when he heard Braley's words. At this time, Blaley suddenly said something. Fortunately, there are no other Marines around. Otherwise, Blaley could be arrested and interrogated based on these words. Yes, so do you want to be a revolutionary army? Or do you want to be a pirate? Obviously knowing that the world government is not doing the right thing in this regard, but Rist has no way to stop it. He can only watch this happen silently, and watch Freffens slowly go extinct. Thank you for reading this story at fictionzone.net. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Braley asked unwillingly. As the saying goes, the greater the hope, the greater the disappointment. It is precisely because Blair had too much hope for Marines' justice before, and now seeing the dark side of the government, the disappointment filled his heart in an instant. I have to say that under the influence of positive influence since childhood, Blaley's justice is still very pure. Oh, I suddenly felt that the evil revolutionary army seemed to be just. Braley did not answer. He did not admit or deny, only he knew what he thought. But at least they can do things we can't do now. Perhaps Marine will change without me. Rarely, Blaley fought Rist. Revolutionary army. Maybe they are doing the right thing now, but who can guarantee that they will not become the next world government? Damn it, big brother, are we really out of nowhere? List thought silently inwardly. This made Lister glance at Braley in surprise. At least in our current position, with our current identity, nothing can be done. Hearing what Riester said, Brer's heart suddenly felt weak. Chapter 130. In the end, Rist came to Frevens, but Blair did not come with him. He just sent him to Frevens and left. After all, Blair can be said to be the highest in North Blue Marine Base. Sir. Perhaps there is still a Marine with a higher rank than him in North Blue, but his strength is definitely not as strong as him. It is no exaggeration that Braley's current strength can definitely serve as the rear admiral of naval headquarters. All 6 types are already grandmasters, and coupled with his devil fruit ability, his combat power is already quite good. This is the White Town, Frevens. It really deserves its reputation. When he was on the warship, Lister had already taken off his blindfold. At first glance, it was all white. Almost no other colors were seen in this place, and when Lister opened his observation hockey, I felt the resentment of the people on this island. And wars are happening almost everywhere on this island. This country is already in ruins. No one can save this country. The pollution of amber lead on the island can be said to have penetrated into the bone marrow and there is no cure. Suddenly, Rist had no interest in the island. In addition to being white, at first glance, it is indeed very beautiful, like the kingdom of ice and snow in a fairy tale, but over time, it will inevitably cause some aesthetic fatigue. Aesthetically tired, he put on the blindfold again, and this place can be said to be a dangerous place for Riester who does not wear blindfolds. After all, there is a war in this country, and it is inevitable that there will be people with the ability to take devil fruit. But Rist felt that he was not far from the day when he got rid of the blindfold completely, and he would not need to wear the blindfold at that time. When Riester stepped into Frevens, he also saw the people inside. Like other decadent countries, the gap between the rich and the poor is huge. The rich can eat big fish and meat, and the poor can even eat their fill. It is a difficult problem. Riester saw a lot of civilians, and they didn't even dare to look up at Riester, who was neatly dressed, because their clothes were all ill-clothed, their clothes were in tatters, and there were stitches everywhere. Make up the traces. He already felt that all the people here were hungry, and some people even looked at Rist with a fierce look in their eyes, and there seemed to be some bad thoughts brewing in their minds. Fortunately, Blair was not allowed to come to this place, otherwise, he will inevitably think more. Now, as to what Braley's future will look like, Riester has no idea. Will he be at Marine in the future? Lister didn't know, because just now Braley could say that he has lost confidence in Marine, or in other words, he has lost confidence in the world government. Rist never thought that Braley's justice was so simple and pure. You know, Braley used to be jealous and blocked him in an alley. Advertisement. The current Braley can be said to be a huge change from the former him. In this place, money is no longer useful, because even if there is money, there is no place to buy food. Hey, boy, acquaintance, give me the food on your body as soon as possible, otherwise, don't blame us for being rude. At this moment, several people appeared in front of List with daggers. There were also crowds around, but the emotions emanating from these crowds were different. Some people exuded the same emotions that hated Lister, while others exuded the emotions of sympathy for Lister. At this time, Rist did not take off his blindfold again, otherwise, he would find that everyone around him would have some white Madara more or less on his body. These white Madaras are also what they call the lead disease. Did the robbery hit me? I have to admire your courage, but it's a pity that you chose the wrong person. After finishing speaking, an aura broke out directly from Lister's body. It was Conqueror's Haki. This is naturally unbearable for this group of people who are already exhausted physically and mentally. Even if Lister did not release with all his strength, but only released a trace of aura, these people all fell. Rist did not radiate compassion and gave the food on his body to some children, because he knew that this was even more dangerous for those children who had no power to restrain their hands. Whoever has food in this place now will become the target of everyone's common crusade. Did that Marine come to this place? When List exuded this Conqueror's Haki, Doflamingo, who was on the other side of the island, also felt this breath. After all, this island is that big. Torapal, has the news spread? Advertisement. Well, it's already spread out, Dover. But spreading the news of op fruit won't do us any good, right? Torapal was a little puzzled, and didn't understand why Doflamingo would send out the news of op fruit in Frevens. Do you think we can snatch op fruit from that Marine with a few of us? Hearing Doflamingo's words, the figure of Riester appeared in Torapal's mind for an instant, and the coat he was wearing could not help but produce violent fluctuations. It can be seen that Riester left one in his mind. What kind of impression, just by virtue of his name, can scare him into this look? So I need to make this Frevens more chaotic, so that we will have a chance. Young master, which Marine is that powerful? At this time, Diamante asked Doflamingo. Also curious was Rocinante, listening with his ears sideways. The Marine who once stationed at the Sabayati archipelago, Lister. The rumored great swordsman of naval headquarters. Diamante said in surprise that he also uses swords, but at present it is only the swordsman's cultivation base, which is tens of thousands of miles away from the great swordsman. That's not a rumor, that's a fact, that monster is a real great swordsman. Torapal emphasized, even if we all go together, we will definitely not be the opponent of that monster. Is there such a powerful character in Marine? All the members of the Don Quixote family have a heavy heart. Except for Rocinante, who is an undercover agent, knowing that Riester is coming, he feels that he is under a lot less pressure. Chapter 131 What is your justice? Soon, Riester came to the battlefield, the sound of artillery fire from the sky, and the sound of wailing and screaming everywhere, which made Riester's heart uncontrollably moved, but there was no way to save this country. The toxin of amber lead has polluted all the environment in this country, and Riester alone can't do anything about it. But when Riester arrived on the battlefield, some people with short eyes dared to shoot at him. Cannonballs and bullets were shot towards his discovery, but they were directly passed through the body by Riester using elementalization. NS. All I can do is to keep your life in this world for a long time. After speaking silently, Conqueror's Haki swept the audience directly. Under the influence of this terrifying Conqueror's Haki, there was no one who was still awake. After all, now Conqueror's Haki of Lister can be said to be unlimited. No matter how strong the will is, there is no way to resist Conqueror's Haki in Rist, let alone these ordinary soldiers. Afterwards, Lister took out the phone worm and dialed in. You come to Frevens, op fruit is said to appear in this place. After the call worm got through, Rist said directly. Okay, I get it. Now Rist intends to be a hand-shocking shopkeeper, just leave this troublesome thing to Mistgang, with his strength even facing Doflamingo without any problems. If there is no Rist here, Doflamingo is the overlord of North Blue, the most powerful person in North Blue, but now there are two big mountains in front of him, one is Rist, and the other is Misthill. The owner of Mistgang's initial strength of Admiral is not something Doflamingo can deal with. It can be said that Admiral is a watershed of strength. At the same time that Riester notified Mistgang, the people of the Don Quixote family also circulated the news that Op fruit had appeared in Frevens. All major forces have sent spies to sneak into Frevens secretly, including people from the world government. In the evening, Riester did not spend the night on this island. It would be bad if he was exposed to the toxin of the amber lead. Although Riester's own physical fitness is strong, there is no problem. But it is inevitable that some toxins may remain in it. So for the sake of Makino in the future, Riester decided to leave this place of right and wrong first. Although there are very few boats to travel in Frevens, Rist does not need a boat to travel. It is directly elementalized, transformed into a stream of light, and disappears directly. He returned to the island of the goddess Lisa, but after returning here, Rist found that the auction house seemed to have been looted, because all the places in the auction house were charred. Advertisement. It seemed that he had just experienced the baptism of a fire, and those who were able to do so would know who it was without even thinking about it. There would be no other people besides Doflamingo. After all, with Doflamingo's character, so much money was scammed, of course he couldn't bear to swallow this bad breath. If the news was not taken away by Riester, Doflamingo would feel better in his heart, but since he was convinced by Riester, Op Fruit's news has been almost transparent. As long as there is a heart, everyone can inquire about it. But Rist discovered that Aokiji didn't seem to leave the island yet. Aokiji Admiral, you are really free. Rist went straight to the night market on Goddess Island and found Kuzan, but Kuzan was eating a popsicle in his hand. He didn't know whether he bought it or made it with his own ability. But I have to say that it's good to stay with Kuzan. It's obviously a hot summer, but staying with Kuzan is as cool as an air conditioner next to him. I think you are quite leisurely. Kuzan squinted Riester and said. Does that task have a clue? Then Kuzan asked again. Well, it is said that the devil fruit has appeared on Frevens Island, but I found nothing after looking around on that island just now. It's not always true if you eat it. If I knew this task was so idle, I would give it to the next task. Kuzan said with some regret, because he saw Liester's current state as exactly the same as his state on vacation. This is totally a paid vacation. Then, if I forward this to you, I think the marshal should be happy to see that an admiral performs this task. Forget it, now that you have a clue, it won't be good for me to blend in, so I won't grab your credit, but after this time you go back, you should be able to become a vice admiral. Who knows? Rist said indifferently, he didn't care much about his rank, after all, after he had the strength, he could get everything. Advertisement. You are really the fastest marine I have ever seen. After all, is the world different? This is the era of the great pirates, a more dangerous era than before. But the more dangerous, the greater the opportunity, and I happen to be the one who can grasp every opportunity. Thank you for reading this story at fictionzone.net. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Kuzan was taken aback, as if he didn't expect Riester to ask such words. Some pictures could not help flashing through his mind like a revolving lantern. That's good. Who knows? Kuzan Admiral, I have a question I want to ask you. Rist felt that among the three Admiral, only Kuzan could talk to him to this point. Rist suddenly thought of what he had seen in Frevens today. After all, at that time, the pirates had already formed a climate, whether it was Golden Lion, Whitebeard or Roger, but the current era of the big pirates has not yet fully formed a climate, it is just a prototype. In your mind, what is your justice? Ms. Zephyr's health is okay. Although Riester and Kuzan have not met several times, they are like old friends who have known each other for a long time, as if they can talk about any topic, and they will not have much to hide from each other. You say, is it justice? It may be that the two people have similar tastes. No, it is because of similar tastes. At the beginning, when he was promoted to Vice Admiral, it was really difficult, and if he insisted, the era when he was promoted was much more dangerous than this era. Hearing this, Kuzan couldn't help but a look of envy appeared in his eyes. There were scenes where he used to fight with pirates, there were scenes where he protected civilians, and there were scenes where he participated in Buster Call and witnessed Akainu killing a whole ship of civilians. Well, although the strength has declined, it is still tough, and there is no problem with dealing with some ordinary pirates. Chapter 132 New World Riot. Just when the two were about to continue talking, the phone worm next to Aokiji suddenly rang. Bluebrew. Hey, is it Aokiji? A voice familiar to both of them came from the other side of the phone worm. I am Aokiji. Yeah, Marshal Sengoku, why did you call me suddenly? At this time, Riester's voice also rang, and upon hearing Riester's voice, Sengoku on the other side was stunned. Is it Riester? It's me, Master Marshal. That's right, now you two will immediately return to Naval Headquarters. Aokiji, your vacation is over here. Riester, now you also put down your tasks and return to Naval Headquarters immediately. Did something happen? Upon hearing Sengoku's order, both Aokiji and Riester's expressions became very serious at the same time. They needed to recall Admiral to naval headquarters, and there was Riester who was not weaker than Admiral, and even about op fruit. Anything can be delayed for a while, which shows that something big must have happened. Well, New World ran away. What happened? Let's talk about it when you come back. Riester, now use your power to bring Kuzan back. Yes, Marshal. Afterwards, the two looked at each other with a helpless expression on their faces. No one thought that an urgent task would suddenly come. Let's go, Aokiji Admiral. Afterwards, Riester turned into a streamer and flew Aokiji in the direction of naval headquarters. Fortunately, Aokiji's armed color and physical fitness were not bad, otherwise his body would not be able to withstand this high-speed movement. And also elementize it from time to time to relieve the pressure of high-speed movement. Advertisement. Is this your ability similar to Kizaru's sparkling fruit? As he moved, Kuzan asked Riester. Because the carrier is alone, Rist cannot be completely elemental. Yeah, but not so much the ability similar to sparkling fruit, it's better to say that my ability is sparkling fruit. Really? That's really a strange ability. Under Riester's instructions to fly, the nearly half-month sailing journey abruptly reduced Riester to a half-day, but when he arrived at naval headquarters, Riester was already a little tired and collapsed. It seems that something big really happened. Rist felt it with his observation hockey. In the Marshal's office, the other two Admiral had already been gathered, and even Garp had arrived, as well as Vice Admiral. Just find a place to sit. When the two arrived, Sengoku spoke to them. In this room, apart from Riester, all are important tasks within Marine. Needless to say, the three Admiral are Marine heroes, and Crane is a think tank of Marine. It can be said that the lowest status here is Lister. But now that Lister can appear in such a meeting, it has already shown that Lister has been recognized by everyone present, even if Akainu and Crane Vice Admiral have not seen Lister's strength. But it does not prevent them from guessing from some rumors. Okay, Sengoku, let us assemble in such a hurry, let's talk about anything. You know, when the assembly was called, Garp was on vacation in East Blue. After hearing Sengoku's serious tone, Garp hurried over from East Blue on the moonwalk. This is Garp. If someone else can use moonwalk to step out of East Blue, it would be nice. The former Whitebeard Pirate Group 2nd Division Captain Kazuki Oden died in the hands of Kaido. Kazuki Oden. For this name, everyone present was somewhat impressed. Advertisement. Did that beast-like man actually died in Kaido's hands? It's really unbelievable. Garp, who has dealt with Kazuki Oden, said in disbelief. Well, it's really incredible news, but no matter how Kaido does this, it has reached Whitebeard's ears. Hearing this sentence, the expressions of everyone present changed. They all understand Whitebeard's personality and regard their crew as family members, and Kazuki Oden is the only one who is different from the other crew's sons. He can be said to be the younger brother claimed by Whitebeard. How did Whitebeard know? At this time, he Vice Admiral asked a question. Kaido occupies Wano-kuni's own territory, so Whitebeard realized that something was wrong and sent his crew to investigate Wano-kuni's territory, only to discover this fact. But Kaido has been occupying Wano-kuni for 6 years, and Whitebeard only knows now. It seems that he, the big captain, is not qualified. Akainu lowered his head and said, in his tone, he couldn't tell what kind of mood he was now. But anyway, Whitebeard already knows and has led his pirate group to Wano-kuni. If nothing else, a big battle will take place in New World. And according to the spy's report, Kaido has found Ant as an ally to fight Whitebeard together. Quote. There is no doubt that if such a war really occurs, New World will surely fall into a rampage. Maybe even the first half of the Grand Line or even the whole world will be implicated. Then what we need to do, can't let us stop this war. I don't think that the old man Whitebeard will listen to us obediently and not fight this war. Garp said, although he didn't have much dealings with Whitebeard, he still knew what Whitebeard was, knowing that he would not stop the war because of Marine's words after all. Although Whitebeard is slightly different from other pirates, in his mind, the members of his pirate group are above all else, especially Kazuki Oden, which is of extraordinary significance to Whitebeard. Garp, Sakazuki, Kuzan, and Riester, I need the three of you to stabilize the situation in New World. I don't need you to stop this war. As long as you pay attention to some people who are fishing in troubled waters in this battle, you can't let the world is in chaos again. If possible, kill one of the Whitebeard pirates, Beast's pirates, or the Ant pirates. Quote. It is okay to stabilize the situation in New World. As for the latter sentence, everyone assumes that they have not heard it. It is so easy to solve one of the three pirate groups. Chapter 133 Whitebeard's Attitude. As for Kizaru, he stayed at naval headquarters. After all, naval headquarters cannot have a high-level combat power. Sengoku alone is not enough. Kizaru's speed is also very fast. Even if there is some accident in New World, he can also provide timely support. Okay, this matter is settled, disbanded. Everyone left with a gloomy expression. Now the wave of the world has slowly begun to surging. This war can be said to be the first big battle in the history of the Great Pirate Era, and it will be completely the fuse that ignited the era of the Great Pirates. The era in the future will definitely be more vicious than before. And at this time in the New World, the Whitebeard pirates and the mobile, the atmosphere was very dignified. Everyone saw that Whitebeard was in a bad mood. After all, when they got the news of Oden's sacrifice, they were also in their hearts. It's very heavy. Although most people in the Whitebeard Pirates group don't know who Odin is, only a few captains at this stage know how much Odin is, but from the mouths of some old members, they know that the captain of the second division that has been vacant is for where Odin stayed. Through this, they also know how important Kazuki Odin is in the mind of the old man. Whitebeard looked forward with a sullen face, and the little bits and pieces that used to be with Odin appeared in his mind. The dumb and laughing man had now completely left. Behind the mobile is followed by other pirate groups, and they are all affiliated pirate groups who have joined the Whitebeard pirate group. Naturally, they will not be absent in this battle. For them, it is an opportunity to perform meritorious service. Odin, you fellow, your words don't count. Whitebeard's fists were already clenched tightly, and his eyes were already a little moist. Father, my sorrow. At this moment, Marco, who noticed Whitebeard's emotions, spoke, and he comforted Whitebeard. His heart is also very uncomfortable. After all, he was very familiar with Odin. Before Odin left, Odin had always existed as the second in command of the Whitebeard pirates. Although he was also the captain of the first team at the time, he was not strong enough at that time and could not afford the second in command at all, so his heart has always been very grateful to Odin. This time, we must make that B************ D Kaido pay the debt. Kaido. Advertisement. Upon hearing the words Kaido, a powerful murderous aura burst out of Whitebeard's body. This murderous aura was different from Conqueror's haki. It gave all the crew on the mobile, including Marco, a shuddering feeling. Although Whitebeard's body has some dark diseases now, it is far from the state of being sick and slinging all over his body in more than 10 years, although your strength has declined compared with the previous few years. But he is still confident. He can press Kaido and still believe that he is the strongest man in the world. Father, take your momentum away, some crew members can't stand it anymore. Joe said in a difficult tone, in order to add a sense of security to himself, his body has turned into a diamond. Hearing Jaws's words, Whitebeard realized his gaffe, and glanced at the other crew members with difficult expressions. Whitebeard took a deep breath and restrained his aura. I'm sorry, kids, I'm a little gagged. Whitebeard said with a guilty expression on his face. It's okay, old man, we all understand. None of the crew members expressed dissatisfaction with Whitebeard. Seeing this scene, Whitebeard's heart was very moved, because this is what he has always wanted to protect. These crew members also knew that if they sacrificed, their father would do the same to avenge themselves. This time it may put you in danger. After all, Whitebeard also knows that Beast's pirates is not so easy to deal with, especially Kaido, the thick-skinned guy. Whitebeard, who used to be the same pirate group as Kaido, also knows how pervert Kaido's body is. It's okay, father, this time, no matter what, we have to avenge Kazuki Odin. You idiots. Hearing what his son said, Whitebeard's heart was very moved. Originally, tears appeared in his eyes because of Odin, but now he can't help it. Don't worry, I will definitely bring you all back. Advertisement. We believe in you, old man. Seeing the smiles on his pirates' faces, Whitebeard felt that everything he did was worthwhile. At this time, Kaido on the ghost island of Wano Kuni was also very solemn. He didn't expect that Odin would be able to lure Whitebeard over. If he had known that Odin and Whitebeard had a relationship, he would not have invaded Wano Kuni at all. Even if he had invaded Wano Kuni, he would not kill Odin. After all, if Whitebeard was really crazy, he would not be able to bear it. Kaido also couldn't figure out why Odin didn't ask Whitebeard for help at the time. But all this has passed, and now Kaido needs to figure out how to face Whitebeard's terrifying anger. The strongest man in the world has the power to destroy the world. This is not a joking title, but Whitebeard typed it step by step. Did the old lady Baguma agree to our alliance? Indeed, just like Marine's information, Kaido does have plans to join forces with the Ant. After all, only the two of them are united to fight Whitebeard. Although their strength is not much weaker than Whitebeard, but if there really is a deadly battle, it will definitely be them. And Kaido really doesn't know how much Whitebeard will do for Odin. She agreed, but she said, Captain, you owe her a favor, and she needs you to help her unconditionally in the future. That old woman really doesn't suffer at all. Although he owed Bigumam a favor, it wasn't this one anymore. He had owed it before. But the Ant agreed, and Kaido's heart was relieved. At least he didn't have to die. Maybe he and the Ant could kill Whitebeard together, and New World would be theirs. Some people from other forces also captured the actions of the Whitebeard pirate group and the Ant pirate group. Although they don't know what the two pirate groups are doing when they leave their territory, they will be in turmoil if they want to come to New World. Among the first battle of the Great Chapter 134 Meteor Volcano. Most of the forces in New World intend to take a share in this battle. Of course, there are also a small group of people who are not strong enough to be able to ask for their own blessings in this Uzumaki. No one knows how long this battle will last, no one knows how many people will die in this battle, and no one knows how much power will disappear in this battle. That night, Marine had already taken a warship to New World. 4 warships, each of which had an admiral level of combat power. This shows how much Marine paid attention to this battle. By the time everyone arrived at New World, it was already midnight. Even in New World before, this time should belong to the quiet of the night, but now it is late at night, but the people are not quiet. When they arrived at New World, they found that several pirate boats were driving in their direction. They seemed to want to stay away from the place of right and wrong in New World, but what they never expected was that the tiger's lair was still there. If you haven't left, you have already entered the wolf's den. Captain, first found the marine warship ahead. At this time, the observer of one of the pirate ships shouted, with some panic in his tone. What? How come there are marines warships here? Could it be that they also want to get involved in this war? Have you seen who led the warship on the opposite side? Quote. The ship, the captain, are Admiral Akainu, Aokiji, and the marine hero Garp, and there is a marine that I don't know. As for the unknown marine who was ignored by their captain, the names of Akainu and Aokiji had already scared him. Besides, there is also a marine hero Garp, which is the last thing all pirates want to face. That's a marine, that's a man who can push Roger into despair. When all the pirates on the ship heard the names of these people, they all fell into a panic, because they knew that they would definitely not be the opponents of these marines. Retreat, leave this place quickly. The captain gave the order immediately. Whether New World can be involved in that wave is not certain, maybe they only need to find a remote island to hide, and there is still the possibility of riding this wave safely, but if they just rush forward like this in the face of this group of marines, their best end is to enter Impel Down. And if you enter Impel Down, you might as well kill them. After all, that place is a hell on earth. Except for Golden Lion, no one has successfully escaped from that place. Even if Golden Lion leaves that place, he has paid the price of 2 legs. He doesn't think they are better than the legendary one. Big Pirate, Golden Lion is stronger. The other pirate ships also made the same decision. After all, between possible death and certain death, smart people know how to choose. Akainu Admiral, several pirate groups have been found in front of me. What should I do? Advertisement. Of course, when the pirates found Marine, the observer on Marine naturally also found the group of pirates. Do you still need to ask me? Sink them. Yes, Akainu Admiral. Then, among the 4 warships, only the warship led by Akainu fired shells at the pirate regiments, but due to the distance, the shells could not hit the opponent's ship at all. The other 3 warships watched the excitement together. As expected, it is Akainu, there is no sand in my eyes. Perceiving the movements on the Akainu warship, Rist said. Sir, do we need to take action? Bruce stood next to Rist and asked. Admiral had all shot, and he felt that they didn't do anything again, it seemed a bit bad. What's the move? Didn't you see that Aokiji Admiral and Garp Vice Admiral haven't made a move yet? After they make a move, it's not too late for us to make another move. For some reason, Bruce always felt that the order had been reversed when he heard Liester's words. The warships led by Garp and Aokiji also kept silent very tacitly. Report to Akainu Admiral that the pirate ships have escaped our range and our shells can no longer hit them. Hearing what the messenger said, Akainu's face was very gloomy. The 3 guys. Seeing the 3 people who were still silent, Akainu couldn't help but complain. He had a good impression of Liester at first. After all, Liester's treatment of pirates is similar to him, but now it seems that Liester followed Garp and Aokiji in the same way. Meteor Volcano. I saw Akainu raised both hands, and the huge lava fist was continuously released from both hands and shot into the air. Advertisement. Garp and Aokiji looked up at the magnificent sight. When I raised my head, I saw huge lava fists falling in this direction. The fire shining on Garp's face made everyone see the expression of appreciation in Garp's eyes. The huge lava fist directly landed on the pirate boats. On the surface of the sea, the boat exploded in an instant, and thick mist was also produced on the sea surface, which is the mist produced by the evaporation of part of the sea water. They also saw Akainu's actions just now. At the beginning, they didn't understand why Akainu would attack into the sky, but now they fully understand that Akainu's target has been them from the beginning. On the other hand, Aokiji released a hint of cold air up and down, resisting the breath released by Akainu Meteor Volcano. As a frozen fruit ability, Aokiji hated this heat the most. No matter how many times I watch it, I think Akainu's moves are a bit gorgeous. Everyone fell into despair, and they were not sure that they could survive this attack. Rist could only perceive it with observation hockey. After the lava fist rose into the air, it began to fall rapidly in the direction of the group of pirates. One of the pirates sensed a trace of heat and looked up at the sky, and immediately fell into panic, and the expression on his face was full of despair. No, is this the strength of Admiral? After the attack was over, Akainu used observation hockey to sense it, and said uncomfortably. It is estimated that among the people present, only Garp can express appreciation for Akainu's moves. Even Aokiji will find it a little troublesome to face this move. What? It's a pity, I can't see such a magnificent sight. Captain, look at the sky. Cut, are there any more fish that slipped through the net? Everyone feels that their place is getting hotter and brighter. Chapter 135 shocked Akainu and Aokiji. Just when Akainu was about to give up destroying the pirates, he suddenly, shooed, and a cannonball flew out of the warship next to him. Akainu turned his head in surprise, and found that Rist was weighing a cannonball with his hands, then tossed it into the air, and then kicked the cannonball directly onto the pirate ship on the opposite side. The speed of the cannonball is faster than he has ever seen Garp throw a cannonball, and the hit rate is extremely high. When Garp saw this scene, he was holding his head with his hands, his eyes widened, his face was full of incredulous expressions, he did not expect that the shells could be kicked over with his feet, he always threw them with his hands. Ah, And Garp found that kicking past with his feet is much more handsome than throwing with his hands. He now looks at Riester's movements, it is as cool as he is. In this regard, Garp's heart is also hungry and thirsty. Hurry up, bring me a cannonball. Garp immediately ordered his soldiers. He also wanted to try Riester's current moves. He felt that if he made such moves, he would definitely be more handsome than Riester. Yes, Garp Vice Admiral. Soon, a box of shells was brought over by his soldiers. Come on, try the old man's volley. I saw Garp threw the cannonball directly, and then the whole person jumped into the air, planning to kick the cannonball over. As Garp's adjutant, Bogart had a bad feeling in his heart. The difference between throwing cannonballs and kicking cannonballs is too big. The cannonball explodes as soon as it encounters a relatively strong force, and the strength of Garp's feet is of course needless to say. Everyone, immediately stay away from Garp Vice Admiral. Just in case, Bogart also used a shaver to take away the box of shells under Garp's feet. If this box of shells exploded, all the people on their warship would ascend to heaven. Sure enough, just as Bogart had expected, when Garp's confident foot touched the shell exploded directly, and the resulting movement not only made Akainu and Aokiji a little bit slight. Look sideways. Advertisement. Seeing Garp's scorched face, Akainu couldn't help lowering the brim of his hat, as if saying that he didn't know this person. He really couldn't understand why such a person would become Marine's hero. He felt that Sengoku became Marine. Heroes are much more reliable than Garp. And Aokiji sighed in his heart, he deserves to be Garp Vice Admiral. Garp Vice Admiral, cannonballs are not what you do, he needs cleverness. After finishing speaking, Rist gave Garp a demonstration again. The shell just now did not have a substantial effect. After all, the opponent is a pirate group that can reach New World. If a shell can destroy the other party, then the standard for entering New World is too low. This time, Riester threw 2 cannonballs into the air, and then a roundabout kick. The 2 cannonballs flew toward the pirate group on the opposite side at the same time. The 2 sounds offshoot were fast, as if breaking through the speed of sound. Good boy, I will try too. After being blown up by a cannonball, Garp didn't have any anger on his face, but rather an expression of joy when he saw something new. Garp Vice Admiral, no. Hearing Garp's words, the soldiers on his warship hugged it in an instant, with several soldiers hanging on his arms and thighs, trying to stop Garp from making the next move. They are all old members of the Garp warship. They feel that with Garp's IQ, they can't understand what Riester wants to express at all, and it's impossible to learn it after reading it. So in order to prevent 2 shells from exploding on their own warship at the same time, they could only stop Garp desperately. You guys, let go of the old man. The old man wants to try the new master's moves. No, Garp Vice Admiral, there will be time trials in the future, don't rush to this time. Suddenly, Rist seemed to feel a resentment being directed at him, and he carefully sensed that it was from Bogart. With his current position, naturally he can't pull his face down and do what he hugged Garp, so he can only blame all this on the culprit, Riester. In this regard, Rist could only give Bogart an apologetic smile, and he also felt the excitement on the Garp warship. Advertisement. On each warship, Marine's atmosphere is different, and it has a lot to do with its commander. Like the Marines on the Akainu warship, they all have an expression of envy and hatred towards the pirates, and look down upon the usual group of very lazy and funny soldiers. The Marines on the Aokiji warship are similar to Aokiji. Usually they are very lazy as long as they have no tasks. In addition to a few necessary positions that require people, they usually take rest time. Occasionally, I will exercise. Of course, this is only done when I am stimulated by others. As for the soldiers on the Garp warship, they are just like Garp. They are a group of funny comparisons. They usually look like an elite marine in front of outsiders. However, in front of their own people, they are as casual as they are, so they don't care at all. The eyes of others are exactly the same as Garp. The soldiers on the Riester warship are more ordinary. After all, Riester is also an ordinary marine. There is no special character. When performing tasks, he is very serious. When resting, no one is there. The one you can't find. You know, this time, how much energy did Lister summon the soldiers on his warship? This time, Lister's warship is the slowest one. Fortunately, Lister's position is relatively special. Where is the strength? If other Rear Admiral dared to let Admiral and Marine heroes wait so long, they would have committed suicide and apologized long ago. Afterwards, Riester threw out a few more shells, which still had no effect at all. Dealing with this kind of New World pirates is no longer a simple shell. There is no way. After that, Riester drew the knife. Feeling this sharp sword intent, Garp also stopped and looked at Lister. The same actions were made by Akainu and Aokiji. Both of them saw Lister's shot for the first time. So I want to see with my own eyes whether Lister has the strength that can match them. One sword flow, dark music, dying. Feng Yin's blade was completely attached to armament hockey, and the whole world seemed to have lost its original color and turned black. This was rendered like this by Riester's sword intent. Feeling this breath, Akainu and Kuzan involuntarily showed solemn expressions. Although Riester's sword trick hasn't been used yet, they have already felt the horror of this sword. Even if they are facing this sword, there may be no way to be safe and sound. Chapter 136 Chaotic New World. A black sword gas flew out directly from Rist's knife, and the turbulent sea was cut in half like tofu, and wherever the sword gas was enveloped, it seemed as if it had lost its voice. Can't send it out. And those pirates can only watch that black sword aura get closer and closer to them, slowly and directly across their hull, as if there is no obstruction, they were directly cut in half. But it didn't end. The two halves of the hull cracked again, as if it were neat and tidy like a block of tofu, and the people on the ship instantly exploded into patches of blood mist and dissipated in the air. Seeing this scene, whether it was Akainu, Aokiji, Garp, or even all Marine, the eyes were full of strong shocked expressions. They didn't expect that Riester's sword could have such a terrifying power. This kind of strength is enough to become admiral. Aokiji sighed inwardly, that he still had some sobriety in his heart. Fortunately, Lister appeared late, otherwise it might be someone who could become admiral. Boy Lister, is your swordsmanship so powerful now? Let's have time to discuss it. Garp jumped directly onto Lister's warship and said with a look of excitement. Since Roger's death, he has never fought against a powerful swordsman again. The sword move that Lister made just now made Garp regain his long-lost feeling of enthusiasm. Let's talk about it later, but I don't want to fight with you, old man. It's like a mad dog, regardless of it. Ha ha ha, mad dog, that's their compliment to the old man. Garp naturally knows his nickname for this crazy dog. Although it doesn't sound so good, Garp doesn't care at all. After all, this is also a symbol of strength. Others want to get such a title. Really a scary kid. At this moment, Akainu's inner thoughts, at this moment, his heart's sense of Riester has been completely changed. At the beginning, Akainu thought that Riester was here to mix military skills, but now it seems that he has a complete relationship with them. Equally qualified. Advertisement. A great swordsman must have the strength of admiral, and looking at the swordsmanship displayed by Rist, it is not like an ordinary great swordsman. But among these people, Bogart was the one who felt the deepest. Unexpectedly, this little ghost who once learned his sword skills and was abused by him has grown to a point where he can't even match the dust. Although Bogart has not neglected to exercise in the past few years, the swordsman and the big sword, how can the barrier between how be so easy to break through? That is not only enough exercise, but also talent and an opportunity. These three things are indispensable. Of course, like Riester, this one can be particularly prominent in this aspect of talent. A great swordsman who was less than 20 years old, even if he ran through the records of the world government for 800 years, there was no one. The small war they had just arrived in New World ended in this way. During the period, Aokiji did not make a shot. Garp made one shot and attacked himself. Akainu made one shot and destroyed most of the pirate group, Rist. Special shot once, all the remaining pirate groups were strangled. There may be a few lucky guys who survived, but this is not important anymore. The few who survived can't upset any big waves, and there are no islands around here, only the wreckage of the ship. Even if they were lucky enough to survive, they would not last long in this place. At present, the matter of Op Fruit, Rist has been given full authority to Mistgang. After all, he is still powerless now. Even if Op Fruit does appear in North Blue, New World is too far away from North Blue after all. By the time Rist arrived, the fruit might have been eaten by others. Garp gave the order. Although his military rank is not the highest, his reputation is the highest. At this time, even Akainu has nothing to say. After all, they all smelled a hint of danger, and if they continued to stay in this place, they might die at any time. With the scope of observation hockey in Mistgang, Doflamingo naturally has no way to find him. Their destination has already been chosen, which is Wanokuni, but instead of visiting Wanokuni in person, they hide themselves on the islands near Wanokuni to see if they can pick up a bargain. Advertisement. Of course, releasing observation hockey on a large scale is also a very exhausting thing, so he only needs to lock Doflamingo alone. Go ahead. When Lister was there, Doflamingo did not intend to let his men find Op Fruit at all, because he knew that even if he found it, he would not be able to leave Op Fruit in Lister's hands. Others may be able to leave first, but Lister can't. Who makes him the least official here? But what Doflamingo didn't know was that all of this was under Mistgang's gaze. Thank you for reading this story at fictionzone.net. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Except for the pirates they encountered when they first entered New World, there were basically no other pirates along the way, but there were more merchant ships returning from New World to the first half of the Grand Line. And whether he will be able to leave New World at that time is not certain. Rist has an intuition in his heart. He seems to be staying in New World for a long time. At least until the tripartite pirate group is completely calm, he should be back, not going. So even if someone comes to play Op Fruit at that time, it is just a prey to the door. And Doflamingo in North Blue also got the news that Lister appeared in New World, and immediately ordered his men to increase their efforts to find Op Fruit in Frevens. Whitebeard and Kaido and the Ant will definitely go through a battle, and even if the battle is over, small frictions between the three parties will continue to arise. But now it's different. Lister is in the distant New World, and he doesn't care about North Blue at all. If Lister gets news about returning from New World, maybe Op Fruit has been found by him. Let's eat it. As for the other forces and people in North Blue, Doflamingo did not put them in his eyes at all. Now with Doflamingo's strength, no one in North Blue can threaten him anymore. In this battle, the three of them will certainly not be safe and sound. More or less they will suffer some injuries. Even if they can't be killed all, but if they can pay a price, it's worthwhile for their marine to come to New World this time. Chapter 137 The first battle begins. The situation in New World has become more and more chaotic. The affiliated pirate groups that belong to the tripartite pirate group have been in constant friction, and battles are almost taking place in the territories of the three parties. Either the Whitebeard pirates will seize the territory of the Beasts pirates and the Ant pirates, or the Ant pirates and the Beasts pirates will seize the territory of the Whitebeard pirates. At this time, the war has reached an inevitable point, a point that no one can stop. If it was only because Kazuki Odin and the Whitebeard pirates started the war in the first place, it is now the amount has completely changed. Many members of the Whitebeard pirates have already died in the hands of the Beasts pirates and the Ant pirates. This has completely ignited Whitebeard's anger. Although the Beasts pirates and the Ant pirates did not get any benefits, I didn't value my subordinates as much as Whitebeard. I just used them as a tool person. If you die, you can find a new one. If you don't, you can regenerate one. This is the idea of two people. However, all the members of the Whitebeard pirate group are Whitebeard's family members. Although most of the children cannot be named by Whitebeard, as long as they bear the mark of the Whitebeard pirate group, they are protected by Whitebeard people. Whitebeard didn't allow his children to bleed or shed tears. Now that the Whitebeard pirates have reached Wano-Kuni, the waterfall that goes upstream is not a difficult task for the Whitebeard pirates. After all, they have already visited Wano-Kuni once before. Now the last time, they are naturally familiar with the road. But when they were just about to reach the top, a huge black shadow suddenly appeared above them. This black shadow is exactly the Jin of Beasts Pirates. Now Beasts Pirates does not have the name of the three plagues, and even the future 6 volleys are not available, but Jin is still the most powerful of Beasts Pirates except Kaido. Combat power. Would you like to climb to the top of Wano-Kuni? As simple as that. It's too much of a concern for us, Beasts Pirates, even if you are the Whitebeard Pirates. Jin flew in the air and said to Whitebeard, but even when facing Whitebeard, Jin's face didn't have any different colors, as if the expression on his face would not change. Ember of Beasts Pirates. Except for Whitebeard, all the other members showed a solemn expression. The toothless pterosaur turned into Chin flew directly and quickly towards Whitebeard's mobile, and the outstretched giant claw seemed to be directly kicking the mobile down. Not good. Everyone noticed Jin's intentions. Advertisement. At this moment, a cyan flame burned on the mobile, and the cyan flame turned into 2 wings and flew in the direction of Jin. I saw a bird's claw also appeared in the cyan flame, colliding with Jin's claw, directly causing waves in the sea below them. The shot was the captain of the Whitebeard pirates, Marco. It was at the moment Marco took the initiative to stop Jin, the mobile successfully boarded Wano-Kuni's inland sea. Captain Marco. Great. The crew of the Moby DK cheered at Marco. When the other captains saw Marco blocking Jin, a proud smile appeared on their faces. This was the captain of their Whitebeard pirate group. Captain of the first division of the Whitebeard pirates, Marco the Phoenix. Jin's tone didn't seem to have changed, it was still so plain. And half of Marco's face was also revealed from the cyan flame. How can you let you go straight to Wonglong? Marco's face also showed a confident smile, which was confidence in his own strength. You demons, the fruit of the phoenix. It's really a troublesome ability. For this kind of immune to death Xiaoqiang, compared to everyone, it is very annoying. Each one another. The ancient species is also a very rare fruit ability. Afterwards, the two of them flapped their wings at the same time and stretched out another foot to each other again, and the resulting vigor directly caused the Moby DK to shake on the sea. As that old fellow Whitebeard here already. Advertisement. Kaido, who was on the island of ghosts, looked solemnly in the direction of the Whitebeard pirate group. He already felt the strong breath of Whitebeard at this time. Thank you for reading this story at fictionzone.net. Your support enables us to keep the site running. While Marco blocked Jin, the mobile was already slowly moving towards the direction of the Ghost Island. Children, rush to the Ghost Island to avenge Odin and our dead brothers and sisters. Under Whitebeard's order, all the members of the Whitebeard pirates jumped off the boat and rushed towards the Beasts pirates on the opposite side. Naturally, the first ones to bear the brunt were the captains of Whitebeard. And Whitebeard naturally noticed Kaido, the huge blood, even if it was so far apart, he could clearly perceive it. And the place on the Ghost Island on the front of the Mobike is already full of people from Beasts pirates and some Wano-Kuni warriors. They have already defected to Kaido, or they have already defected to Wano-Kuni's new admiral army, Kurozumi Orochi's people. As that guy Linlin here. Well, the anti-pirate group hasn't arrived yet. After all, there will be a battle with the Whitebeard pirates in a while, and anyone may become a useful combat force. So although he and Kaido are only interested in the relationship, at this time there can be no slack, he must also go all out. What the hell is that old lady Linlin doing? Is it possible to wait for me to finish fighting with the old man Whitebeard and take advantage of it? At this time, even the Kurozumi Orochi has appeared on the island of ghosts. He naturally wants to help Kaido beasts against Whitebeard. Otherwise, when Kaido is defeated, then as one of the culprits who killed Odin, Whitebeard will naturally not let him go. Kaido asked his subordinates. When he was young, he also envied Kaido's body. If he had that body himself, Shockfruit would definitely be able to be exerted even more powerfully by him. His subordinates said in a weak tone, for fear that Kaido would hammer him with a stick soon, but fortunately, Kaido was not dazzled by anger this time. After all, the current captains are very familiar with Odin. Marco has already dragged out a Jin, and they naturally can't be too far behind Marco, so their performance at the beginning is already very hard, and they also hold a wave of anger in their hearts, a wave of anger towards Kaido. Angry, they all sincerely wanted to avenge Odin. Chapter 138 Whitebeard Shots. Whitebeard was standing on the bow of the mobile at this time, standing there with a cloud in his hand, but no one could come within 500 meters of Whitebeard, and no one dared to do so. Whitebeard looked into the distance, where Kaido was, and the strong vitality could be clearly felt even without observation hockey. Kaido, you be asterisk 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 D, are you ready to die? Although Whitebeard's voice is not loud, it resounds throughout the battlefield. You can hear Whitebeard's voice no matter where you are on the island of ghosts. Is this the most powerful man in the world, Whitebeard? Kurozumi Orochi said in a trembling tone. He also knows something about the outside world. Among them, Whitebeard is also the most terrifying character he knows, and the angry voice just now indeed confirmed his conjecture. The momentum contained in that voice alone was no longer something he could bear. Kurozumi Orochi, Zone Snake Snake Fruit Essence Beast Species Yaki Orochi form, logically speaking, his strength is not weak. After all, it is a new demon species, even if it's in waste, it must have Naval Headquarters Vice Admiral's strength. But when faced with Whitebeard, he couldn't even rise at all, as if as long as he had the idea of challenging Whitebeard in his heart, he would die in the next second. Kurozumi Orochi turned his head slightly and looked at Kaido, and when he found that Kaido's face hadn't changed a lot, his heart was calmer. That old man, Whitebeard, has the same momentum back then. Kaido's heart was also full of shock. He originally thought that Whitebeard should be getting older and weaker, but now it seems to be stronger than ever. Children, keep the road ahead. Suddenly, Whitebeard shouted again. The members of the Whitebeard Pirates group also realized what their father wanted to do, and hurriedly gave way in front of Whitebeard, except for the members of Beast's Pirates who were a little unclear. A transparent halo appeared on Whitebeard's clenched fist mountain, then he leaned over and arched slightly. In the next second, the terrifying fist directly attacked the atmosphere. Advertisement. The atmosphere seemed to be like glass, with cracks appearing, and on the road in front of Whitebeard, the ground began to fall apart. All the members of the Beast's Pirates within the attack range vomited blood. After 2 eyes, he died directly. Because their internal organs had been shattered by Whitebeard's just hit. The main target of this shock was Kaido, but when Shock Fruit's attack reached Kaido, the power had been weakened a lot, but Kaido's internal organs still felt some shock. Whitebeard, you old fellow, die for me. Now that he had been hit, Kaido could no longer sit and wait for death. He jumped out with a mace, jumped directly above Whitebeard, raised the weapon in his hand high, and hit Whitebeard directly. Of course, Whitebeard is naturally not the kind of person who stands still and gets beaten. Even if he takes a blow from Kaido head-on, it won't be very comfortable. Facing the oncoming Kaido, Whitebeard held Kong Yunchi in both hands, Shock Fruit's ability attached to the blade, and then he slashed forward. The Naginata in Whitebeard's hand directly collided with the mace in Kaido's hand. The terrifying conquerors hockey on both sides also collided at this time, as if they were venting helplessly. And at the junction of the two weapons, a crack has appeared in the atmosphere, which is the effect of Whitebeard's ability. The surrounding ground instantly became torn apart by the collision of the two, the endless strong wind blowing around the two people as the center, the sky naturally split because of the collision between the two. However, because Whitebeard was standing on his mobile, the bow of the mobile had already begun to sink and the stern was tilted up while under the force of Kaido. As it started, Marine, who was hiding outside Wano-kuni, had a solemn expression on his face at this time. That old fellow Whitebeard, his strength has not diminished. Garp was full of fighting spirit, and it seemed that he was planning to join this battle and fight Whitebeard. Aokiji and Akainu felt a tremendous amount of pressure. Since they were promoted to admiral, they haven't faced this kind of big pirate head-on. They thought that even if they faced Whitebeard, they wouldn't be much worse. Advertisement. But now, just because of the momentum emanating from the battle, they have seen the gap between their strengths. If they face Whitebeard with their current strength, it can be said that they will definitely die. Rist's hand trembled slightly. Of course, this was not fear, but excitement. He also wanted to participate in such a battle, and he also wanted to have a fight with the top power in this world. Contest. Then Akainu seemed to have thought of something, and gave Garp a deep look. Garp can be said to be in the same era as Whitebeard. Although he is called the marine hero Garp, there are very few people who have actually seen Garp make a full shot, almost all of them are the same as Garp. And Akainu really couldn't understand that this kind of unreliable person actually has the power of Whitebeard, whether the world is too crazy, or his cognition has a problem. And the ant who came to Wano-kuni naturally felt the momentum of the battle. Well, has the battle begun? The ant laughed madly. If she just listened to her laughter, it would feel as if she had some mental problems. Mom, do we need to speed up? A member of the ant's pirate group said. No, let the beast and the old man kill each other. Let's go slowly. Then we will kill Kaido and the old man Whitebeard. Obviously, the ant is already immersed in her own fantasy of victory. Okay, Mom, But there is still someone who wants to open his mouth and say something, but after opening it a few times, he closes it, because he knows that the current ant can no longer listen to other people's opinions, or that he can listen to other people's opinions. Not called an ant. In the waters around Wano-Kuni, there are many pirate groups fighting each other. They are also members of the Whitebeard Pirates and Beasts Pirates. This war has completely broken out. It will not end for a short time. The grievances between Whitebeard and Kaido will continue to exist and will not disappear because of the end of this war. Chapter 139 Kaido vs. Whitebeard. Old Whitebeard, die for lousy. Kaido shouted above Whitebeard's head. You will die, Kaido. Killing Kazuki Oden is the most unwise choice in your life. After speaking, Whitebeard's hands began to force, and all the violent blue veins could be seen on his arms. He directly smashed Kaido out, and flew out tens of meters in an instant, almost flying out of the island of ghosts. Scope. HMPH, a dead person is dead if he dies. Lousy kills him or kills him. Where there is so much nonsense, since you miss him so much, then you go and accompany him. Although he was smashed by Shock Fruit's ability to fly tens of meters away, Kaido did not cause any serious problems. He stood up and still yelled at Kaido. Kaido, you alone, I will never forgive you. Holding Kong Yun cut Whitebeard with one hand, the veins on his forehead were already violent, and the terrifying conqueror's haki erupted directly from him, and instantly enveloped the entire Ghost Island. Everyone felt a sense of depression, including of course the members of the Whitebeard Pirates. What happened to Ghost Island? The people in Wano-Kuni can only exude a terrifying aura from time to time on the Ghost Island, but they still don't know what happened. Has anyone had a fight with Kaido? Who is it? Some of Kazuki Oden's old members prayed in their hearts. Although they don't know who is challenging Kaido, they hope that the challenger can win and liberate them. At this time, the sky above Ghost Island flashed with thunder and dark clouds, as if this bad weather had only appeared because of Whitebeard's anger. As Whitebeard's anger deepened, the thunder and lightning in the sky became more and more raging. Whitebeard jumped directly off the Moby DK, and jumped directly in front of Kaido in 2 steps, and jumped directly into the air to give Kaido a heavy blow, but of course Kaido still blocked it with his own weapon. The aftermath of the collision between the two directly overturned many people on the Island of Ghosts. Advertisement. The ground under Kaido's feet shattered directly, and half of his body was embedded in the ground. Good job, Daddy, kill Kaido this B**************** D to avenge Oden. Seeing that Whitebeard had the upper hand, the members of the Whitebeard pirate group instantly cheered on Whitebeard. In their minds, Whitebeard is the most powerful and undefeated. Unlike the excited expression of the Whitebeard pirates, the Beasts Pirates members have a heavy expression on their faces. They did not expect that their captain Kaido is now so far from Whitebeard. Although only 2 rounds have been played against, but both rounds were being pressed and beaten by the opponent, and there was no chance to fight back at all. Don't panic, the battle has just begun. The guy Whitebeard is old and sick. How could he be our captain's opponent? And we still have allies. The victory in this war will be us. Seeing the low morale of his team members, Quinn of Beasts Pirates first repelled his opponent, the captain of the Whitebeard Pirates 3rd Division, Diamond Joes, and then spoke to the crew of Beasts Pirates and began to boost their morale. Yes, that old fellow Whitebeard is old and sick, how could it be our Kaido-sama's opponent? Suddenly, someone agreed with Quinn's B***********************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************�e. That sentence completely angered the members of the Whitebeard pirate group. They even said that their father is old and sick. This is something they absolutely do not agree with. Whitebeard is the most respectable person in their hearts. People who give them a family in this troubled world, they don't allow others to slander their father in this way, even if that sentence is a truth. The current anger on both sides can be said to be getting bigger and bigger. Marco and Jin in the sky also fought very fiercely. Although Marco is not Jin's opponent, Marco's fruit ability is powerful. Although he is not against Jin, he can also make himself invincible. No matter how hurt he is in his eyes, Marco can use his fruit power to recover. On the ground, Kaido, who had been pressed and beaten, was finally shot out. Whitebeard, you old fellow completely offended me, lousy is going to die your Whitebeard red beard. Advertisement. I saw Kaido roared, and blue lightning burst out all over his body, and the whole body had also undergone tremendous changes. Blue dragon scales appeared on his body, and the whole person had become a dragon form. This is Kaido's most powerful form. He skipped the blue dragon form directly. Because for Whitebeard, the azure dragon form is of no use at all, and it can be used as a living target. Seeing Kaido in this form, even Whitebeard's eyes became serious involuntarily this time. The intern who used to be in the same pirate group with him has now reached the point where he has to pay attention to it. This makes Whitebeard cannot help but sigh, how fast time flies, he is in the same era. People, dead, old, retired, and he is almost the only one who is still standing above the sea. To be honest, Whitebeard also had the idea of retiring in his heart, but then he gave up because he couldn't worry about his children. If he retires, then his children will inevitably live in dire straits. With their strength, it is almost impossible to survive in this sea. So, for them, Whitebeard had to continue galloping on the sea. Whitebeard, the era that belongs to you has passed, and die in Lousy's hands honestly. If he can really kill Whitebeard, Kaido is also very happy. He will get the title of the strongest person in the world from his hands. This is probably everyone's dream. Want to kill the old man, Kaido kid, you are still 10,000 years early. After speaking, the two weapons collided again, but this time, the two weapons did not touch, as if there was a breath of air between the two weapons. Conqueror's entanglement, I didn't expect that you guy will also master the advanced usage of Conqueror's haki. Whitebeard was a little surprised and said that the Kaido master Conqueror's entanglement skill was indeed beyond Whitebeard's expectations. Because lousy is Kaido, don't underestimate lousy. After that, the two of them used force at the same time, and the vigor that was blocking the middle seemed to be squeezed out by the increased strength of the two, and a terrifying vigor erupted directly from the junction of the two weapons. At this moment, everyone felt a shuddering feeling, and everyone also saw their own father and the powerful captain. Chapter 140. It seems that the old fellow Whitebeard has taken it all seriously. The Marines outside Wano-kuni, at this time the sea under the ship has become more and more turbulent, stormy, big waves hit one after another, and some of the waves had to be shot by Rist and the others. Block. Although they can't see what is going on the battlefield now, they can also guess that the battle must be very fierce. Of course, their marine is not doing nothing here. All the pirates in the diplomatic battle of Wano-kuni have become their bag. Whitebeard and all the captains of the Whitebeard pirate group are not there, Kaido and the Whitebeard pirate group. Those cadres of the cadres were not there. At this time, none of the pirate groups under Wano-kuni could stop the admiral-level combat power, let alone four. In the face of these pirates, the most hard-working one is naturally Akainu, one shot of Dark Hound, another great eruption, no pirate group can stop the burning of magma. Even List's warships involuntarily moved away from Akainu's warships to avoid accidental damage to their warships by Akainu's magma. Although the main structure of their marine warships is not wood, they can't stop Akainu's magma. They don't know how many big pirates with a bounty of more than 100 million have been killed at this time. Perhaps those with a bounty of more than 500 million can still play two tricks with them. Unfortunately, such a person has not yet appeared. At present, most of the people appearing in front of Marine are around 3 or 4 billion. Such bounty is enough to dominate the first half of the Grand Line, but in New World, it is like a small fish. The big fish swallowed. Dark Hound, Ice Bird, Iron Fist, Sword Chi. These are the attacks of Akainu, Aokiji, Garp, and Rist. Currently, no pirate group can survive the hands of these four. Although they also know that after the end of this war, their marine still does not have their own right to speak in New World, but it can cause the New World pirates to suffer heavy losses, and it will take at least a few years before they can recover again. The scale. Damn it, Marine, the guys came here to kick in too. Advertisement. Whether it is the Beasts Pirates or the Whitebeard Pirate Group, although the two pirate groups now have hatred, they all have a common identity, that is, the pirates, and they also have a common enemy, that is Marine. Therefore, the appearance of Lister and the others not only stopped the fighting between the two pirate groups, but also caused them to focus all their eyes on Marine, and they were the same enemy, although after this battle, they would still be enemies. This is just right, it just catches you all in one go. Looking at the Whitebeard Pirates and Beasts Pirates who have been united on the front, Akainu's voice said coldly. Without Whitebeard and Kaido, these people are just a bunch of ants after all. No matter how many they are of no use. They can only be cannon fodder, and they only have the qualifications to be cannon fodder. The two pirate regiments, more than 30 pirate ships, fired shells in the direction of the four warships, even though there were dense shells in front of them, but the marine soldiers did not have any fear on their faces. Because there are two admiral in front of them, and a marine hero. Great eruption. Akainu's fist turned into a giant lava fist, directly bombarding the group of shells, and those shells fell into the lava and melted instantly. Although there was an explosion, for Marine, it's a little bit no harm. Ice Age. Seeing that the opponent's next round of shells was about to attack, Aokiji jumped directly onto the sea and launched his own big move. In an instant, the entire sea and mountains were covered with a thick layer of ice. And the cold air was still eroding above the pirate ships. In an instant, at a speed visible to the naked eye, their barrels were covered with a thick layer of frost, which meant that their barrels could no longer be used. NS. And this time, it can be regarded as completely sealing the back of the group of pirates. Their ship has been frozen in the thick ice and cannot move. Even if they abandon the ship and escape, there is no bounds here. In the sea, it's just looking for a dead end. Come on. In Marine, I don't know which warship's non-commissioned officer yelled. All the soldiers quickly jumped out of the ship and rushed up to the pirates on the opposite side, even though they were not in number. Advantage, but they have Admiral. With Admiral present, they will not fail. And those pirates knew they had no retreat, and they all rushed up to the Marines, killing one without losing, and killing two with a steady profit. This is what they think now. Advertisement. It should be said that people who are worthy of the Whitebeard Pirates and Beasts Pirates have not given up under this knowingly mortal predicament. Of course, their persistence is just a stubborn resistance in the eyes of Rist. Although there are a few people who can pass the eye, but they are only able to get the eye. In front of List and the others, no one can survive the 5 moves. Are you not going to make a move? If this is the case, then I will act first. Seeing that neither Akainu, Aokiji nor Garp had any plans to make a move, Rist planned to take the lead, because they did not make a move, and Marine was already at a disadvantage. After speaking, Rist jumped off the warship directly, and Conqueror's hockey swept the audience directly. Some pirates with weak willpower and weak strength directly fainted. It can be said that in an instant, the number of pirates on the scene was reduced by more than half, which relieved a lot of pressure on this group of Marine soldiers. Riester Rear Admiral has taken action. This battle is over. Suddenly, there was a Marine who said excitedly, Conqueror's hockey. Akainu and Aokiji were surprised by Riester again. This is the second Marine they know who owns Conqueror's hockey besides Marshal Sengoku. Damn it, killed at Marine first. The rest of the pirates also reacted. This is a person who has the same qualifications as their father and their captain, so even if they die, they plan to kill a big person, which can be regarded as their father and captain. Remove some troubles. Of course, most people with this firm idea are members of the Whitebeard Pirates. Oh, are you all rushing to me? It's really interesting. I don't know, you guys are enough to catch me a few dollars.